I call to order and welcome you to the Middletown, Ohio regular City Council meeting for Tuesday, April 15th, 2025. Please join me for a moment of meditation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the American flag. You will hear 3 taps of the gavel when it is time to stand. Please join me in a moment of meditation now. Clerk of Council, Mrs. Amy Skank, please call the attendance roll.
Mr. Lawley. Mrs. Carter. Mr. West.
Here.
Mr. Horn.
Here.
Mayor Slamka.
Here, thank you. The first item on the agenda is a presentation of a proclamation recognizing Arbor Day. I would like to invite our Public Works Director, Scott Tadich, Park Board members Steve Lewis and Matthew Armbruster, and Executive Director of Keep Middletown Beautiful, Ms. Doris Baden-Roberts, to the podium. Would you like to? However you like, however you wish. Just talk like this. All right, perfect. Thank you. Proclamation. Whereas Arbor Day was first observed in 1872 with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas from backyards to tropical rainforests, trees around the world are hard at work providing the necessities of life. Trees clean our air and water, provide habitat for wildlife, connect communities, and support our health and well-being. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community, trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. And whereas while most holidays celebrate something that has already happened and is worth remembering, Arbor Day represents a hope for the future. The simple act of planting a tree represents a belief that the tree will grow to provide us with clean air and water, cooling shade, habitat for wildlife, healthier communities, and endless natural beauty, all for a better tomorrow. Now, therefore, I, Elizabeth Slamka, Mayor of the City of Middletown, Ohio, do hereby proclaim April 25th, 2025, as Arbor Day in the City of Middletown, and I urge all citizens to support efforts to protect and nurture our trees and urban forest, not just for the beauty they provide, but for the benefits they give our residents and community. Thank you. Thank you all.
Hello, this is Earth Month. April 22nd will be the 55th annual Earth Day. It started in 1970. It was spurred on by the Cuyahoga River catching fire in Cleveland in 1969, not once, but several times. And that spurred the environmental movement and led to Earth Day being the first one in 1970. This year, we have, as always, an Earth Day celebration. We're going to have a citywide cleanup. It will be held on April 26th from 9 till noon. We'll also have an Arbor Day tree planting on the 25th at 11:30 at Goldman Park. So everyone's invited to come and see our new Arbor Day tree. The citywide cleanup, we have so far 98 people signed up to come and join us. We'll be all throughout the city and the parks cleaning up. We invite anyone to join us. You can sign up at our website at keepmiddletownbeautiful.org, or just come out that day to the City Event Center and sign up Saturday morning. If you don't have time Saturday, feel free just to go out in your neighborhood with your children and go around the block and pick up some litter to help the earth or visit one of our beautiful parks. If everyone in the city of Middletown would just pick up 21 pieces of litter, there would be over 1 million less pieces of litter on our streets. So please consider going out in your community and making it a better, cleaner place to live. Thank you.
No spotted lantern fly.
The next order of business this evening is the consent agenda. While the consent agenda is generally for consensus items, do any council members wish to remove anything from the consent agenda this evening and move it to the motion agenda? Okay, Mrs. Skank, please present the consent agenda.
Receive and file the Board of Health minutes from March the 11th, 2025 to confirm the appointments of Tina Blevins to the position of Executive Assistant for the City Manager and Jenna Evans to the position of Income Tax Auditor in the Department of Finance, Division of Taxation, to confirm the conditional appointments of Paul Barnes and Brandon Hesse to the position of Patrol Officer in the Department of Public Safety, Division of Police, and Cameron Lattimore to the position of Corrections Officer in the Department of Public Safety, Division of Police, to confirm the promotional appointments of Jacob Moore to the position of Fire Lieutenant and Christopher Klug to the position of Fire Captain in the Department of Public Safety, Division of Fire, to receive and file oaths of office for Bobby Carter, Caroline Haney, and Robert Wilder, and to receive and file an expedited Type 2 petition for the annexation of 68 plus or minus acres from Lemon Township to the City of Middletown pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 709.021 and 709.023.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion.
Is there a second? It has been properly moved and seconded to accept the consent agenda. We will proceed to vote. Mrs. Skank, please call the roll.
Mrs. Carter,
Yes.
Mr. West,
Yes.
Mr. Horn,
Yes.
Mayor Slamka,
Yes.
Mr. Lawley.
Yes.
The yeses have it, and the motion passes. The next item on the agenda this evening is a pinning ceremony. I would like to invite Middletown Fire Chief Tom Snively to the podium. Good evening. Would you mind pointing the microphone back at you? Forgive me, I did that.
Hear me now?
There we go.
I'm here before you tonight to recognize the promotion of a fire captain, Chris Klug, and a fire lieutenant, Jacob Moore. As you know, the fire division has a tradition of doing that in front of council. So that's why we're here tonight. This is also an opportunity for the council and public to be introduced to the future leadership of the fire division. The promotional process is not an easy one. They should be very proud of where they're at tonight. So I'm going to start out with Captain Klug, Chris Klug first, if you want to make your way up. Chris was hired August of 2008, so 16 years with the Middletown Division of Fire. He has certification as a paramedic, rope rescue tech, confined space tech, hazmat tech, fire investigator, K9 Scotty. You've probably heard K9 Scotty. Chris is the handler for K9 Scotty. So he's an arson K9 handler. He's a life safety inspector, and he's also an instructor for fire and EMS and holds the officer certifications for 1 and 2. He was also a promoted squadman, and he was promoted to lieutenant. In attendance with him tonight is his wife, Taryn, sons Beckett and Bronson, his mother, stepfather, Peggy, and Jerry Evers, and I believe Bronson and Beckett are going to pin him tonight. Oh, perfect. All right. Now I introduce Lieutenant Jacob Moore, if you make your way up as well. Jacob grew up in Farmersville, where he started as a volunteer firefighter in 2016. He was hired in Middletown, February of 2019. He holds a certification as a paramedic, hazmat tech, fire and EMS instructor. He's a fire inspector, and he's in the process of finishing his bachelor's degree, fire protection administration from EKU. So again, congratulations to him. Family in attendance tonight is his mother, Doreen, and father, Rick, his grandparents, Bill and Sharon, and his fiancee, Meredith, is pinning him tonight. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you, Chief. The next item on the agenda this evening is citizen comments. A professional presentation is expected. This is not the time for debate, questions and answer, or any back and forth conversation. This is a time for you, our residents, to be able to present in front of council, on record, uninterrupted, and have the floor. We have many people who wish to speak this evening, and City Council allots 1 full hour to public comment during regular City Council meetings. Once we reach that 1 hour mark, that will be our definite stop. If there are still people who wish to speak at that time but did not get the chance tonight to do so, we invite you to please come back to another City Council meeting to speak. You are very, very welcome. We have received 12 comment cards this evening. I will prompt each speaker for their next steps when they reach the podium. I would like to call Cinda Lee to the podium. Everybody? Okay. Got it. Okay. And Ms. Lee, you may stand or sit according to your preference. Please adjust the microphone and speak directly into the microphone at all times. Before we begin, please state your full name and Middletown residence, work address, or interest in the city for the record, and then you may begin.
Thank you. My name is Cinda Lee. I live at 515 Courier Road in Middletown, Ohio. I'm here on behalf of the Smith Park Cats. So, good evening, council members and community members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. I'm here regarding the City of Middletown's response to the feral cat population at Smith Park. I have concerns that strike at the heart of legality, compassion, and public responsibility. Middletown's ordinance 107002 blah blah prohibits feeding any animal in the park except for a dog or service animal in one's possession. On its face, this may appear to be a well-intended rule to prevent nuisance or litter, but in practice, this ordinance is out of step with recent Ohio state law and is causing real harm. According to the following information, which is found online at the website at Brown Frost Todd, the city's own legal counsel, on October 23rd, 2024, the Ohio Supreme Court ruled that all cats, dogs, including feral animals, are legally considered companion animals under the revised Ohio Code 959.131. The court explicitly stated that the phrase any dog or cat means precisely that, any dog or cat, regardless of where that animal is kept or whether it is owned. This means that companion animal protections extend to feral cats, making it potentially illegal to knowingly deprive them of necessary sustenance and shelter. Additionally, the city is potentially violating Goddard's law, which makes knowingly causing serious physical harm to a companion animal a fifth-degree felony, and is inviting legal challenges Middletown is probably not prepared to face. With its actions, not only does the city ordinance put Middletown in a direct legal and ethical conflict, it has also given the city license to take steps that are ill-advised and, as studies have shown, ineffective. By removing the cats' food and shelter, these cats have been sterilized, vaccinated, documented by the rescue groups and caregivers, and are now at risk of starvation, injury, death, and the manner in which the removal occurred, abruptly destroying feeding stations, shelters without notice. Both was irresponsible and counterproductive. The second tier of the city's plans was given to me on a very short notice on a morning that I didn't even get home until 6:30 a.m. because there was inter-community trapping cats, 40 total, by the way, for our TNR program. I was told of a 2:30 meeting that same day to address the cat population at Smith. At the meeting, I was advised city plans to relocate the cats. Relocating feral cats is an incredibly difficult and delicate process, and research has shown it is typically ineffective, and I gave you quite a bit of paperwork on that. Relocation should always be the last resort taken, and only if the cat's environment is irreversibly dangerous for them, because it is not a viable long-term solution. Overall, relocation is not a solution or a way to control the cat population, and is almost never in the cat's best interest. Relocated cats will do their best to return to their original outdoor homes, and there are so many dangers that come with that, including a growth in the population of the colony, injury, sickness, or death, all of which renders relocation pointless. As it stands today, the city created a situation that rescue groups and caretakers are now struggling to fix. Had there been communication, notice, or collaboration, the existing humane and lawful way the cats are managed could have been continued uninterrupted and in collaboration with the city, possibly improved. Instead, the city's actions have opened them up to the risk of legal liability and endangered the cats. Further, its plan to relocate seems to be short-sighted, knee-jerk reaction that does not take science and the positive steps rescue groups and caregivers have already taken into consideration. I urge this council to immediately reevaluate and amend the
That
ordinance.
is time, Ms. Lee.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I would like to call Dr. M. Logan O'Leary to the podium, please. And you may stand or sit according to your preference. Please adjust the microphone and speak directly into the microphone at all times. And before we begin, please state your full name and Middletown residence, work address, or interest in the city for the record, at which time your 4 minutes will begin.
Okay. Yep. My name is Dr. Logan O'Leary, 2649 Halifax Drive. And I was just informed today that it needs to be 4 minutes, so I will try my best. Good evening, and thank you to members of the community and council in attendance for allowing me to speak. What's happening in Smith Park is not a misunderstanding. It's not a miscommunication. It's the result of deliberate choices made by the city's leadership, and the choices demand accountability. Feeding has been banned, structures destroyed, and now the city's plans to define cats in crates in an empty field. That's your solution. That's not compassion, not care. That's just cages and silence. As of yesterday, the city claims these decisions were made quickly to protect the cats. If that's protection, tearing down shelters, banning feeding, threatening caregivers, and crating animals, no wonder the community no longer trusts you. That's not protection. That was panic. You cite Ordinance 1070.02 to justify this. That law has existed for 7 years. 7. Yet enforcement only began after a, quote, police investigation, not because of public concern, but suddenly, selectively, and conveniently. Let's be clear, this is not about enforcement. It's about retaliation. Retaliation against volunteers who fed, spayed, vaccinated, dewormed, and cared for the animals the city neglected. And how were they thanked? With threats and silence. I'm very disappointed in especially City Manager Combs and this Middletown Division of Police. This is not leadership. It's morally bankrupt. And the excuse, we only have one animal control officer, that position and that officer has become a symbol of dysfunction. While meaningful jobs go ignored, the city volunteers do the city's job. Now we're told to applaud a last-minute partnership with All Paws Matter, an organization that I deeply admire, but let's be honest, this decision was not unanimous, meaning not all parties agreed. Not all volunteers supported it. Yet now it's being done to justify enforcement. APM has done approximately 90 TNR procedures in the past week, far more than the city. This is not a partnership, it's damage control. Vice Mayor Steve West made the city's intent clear on 700 WLW. The cats will be removed, feeding is banned, those that can't be removed will be caged, period. The city says the cats are being moved to an unknown public location, accessible by only select volunteers. Why the secrecy? Why the restricted access? If this is compassion, why does it look like concealment? And now you're telling the public that they can adopt the cats before their cage. That's manipulative. A cruel ultimatum disguised as mercy. You're blaming the community for consequences you created. Let me be clear, caged, in a field, just punishment. That's your legacy. You've shown no evidence of wildlife harm, no environmental review, just vague claims and aggression. Meanwhile, the same ordinance you've ignored for years, 7 years to be exact, while the cats lived peacefully in the park. Let me be perfectly clear. There's no ordinance that prohibits feeding cats. The ordinance you're trying to enforce, 1070.02 C3, prohibits feeding wildlife, not cats. Ordinance 1810.06 prohibits feeding wild or exotic animals,
That's 4
not
minutes.
cats.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to invite Gabrielle McCullum to the podium. You may stand or sit according to your preference, and please adjust the microphone and speak directly into the microphone at all times. Before we begin, please state your full name and Middletown residence, work address, or interest in the city for the record, and then you will have 4 minutes to speak.
Thank you. Gabrielle McCullum, 3801 Grand Avenue. I'm speaking here today for the Smith Park Cats. I've spent over 4 years working in veterinary medicine alongside many compassionate veterinarians, witnessing heartbreaking suffering, starving animals, preventable injuries, and far too many dying from neglect. With the restrictions being enforced, I fear we are going to see even more of that. Relocating community cats, restricting feeding, and removing shelters is not animal control. It is cruelty disguised as policy. Cats are territorial. Remove them from the only home they know, and they become disoriented, desperate, and vulnerable. Many will not survive. They will starve, get hit by cars, or die trying to find their return back to the only home they knew. Relocation does not solve the problem. It causes more suffering, and the area left behind will just fill with more unneutered cats. TNR is the only humane and effective solution. It'll stop reproduction, reduce disease, and return cats to the environment they know and are able to survive in. It works, and thanks to the many dedicated volunteers, it will continue working due to them giving their own time, money, and compassion. Instead of supporting them, this council is punishing them by restricting feeding, removing shelters, and forcing these cats out. These cats do not choose this life. Most of them are here because of human failure, abandonment, neglect, and ignorance. The city needs to address the root cause and not punish the animals. I urge the city of Middletown to take real action by cracking down on animal abandonment and dumping, supporting low-cost spay and neuter services, educating the public on responsible pet ownership, and partnering with local rescues already doing the hard work. I request that the city of Middletown ends the feeding restriction, stops the forced relocation, and allows shelters for community cats. The decision is in your hands. You can be remembered as the council that turned its back on compassion, or you can be the council that listened to the community and chose to do the right thing. Together, we are able to build a city that leads with kindness, action, and pride. Thank you.
Thank you. before we continue, I did just want to add that when you clap during the talk, it eats into their time, but you can clap afterwards if you wish, but you're welcome to do whatever you wish. Okay. The next person I would like to call to the podium is Lisa Oni. Lisa Oni. And you may stand or sit according to your preference, and please adjust the microphone and speak directly into the microphone at all times. Before we begin, please state your full name and Middletown residence, work address, or interest in the city for the record, and then you will have 4 minutes to speak. Please begin.
Lisa Oni, 4631 Seawall Drive. I have rental property in Middletown. Smith Park cats is my concern. I'd like to thank you for hearing our concerns for our community animals. In 2018, multiple meetings were held at the police station concerning our community animals. Over 30 cats were trapped and safely relocated out of the park in order to reduce the number of cats roaming the park at that time. The number of 18 to 20 has been strictly monitored and safeguarded, I call, by the feeders, as when an animal is dumped, they're quick to get in there. Just within the last month, a mom and kittens were dumped there. It was scooped up and it's already into rescue. A lot of money is spent by concerned citizens to offset the cost of vetting and place animals for adoption. As many rescues will tell you, the cost of adoption is never a money-making thing. They will go into debt with an animal, vetting it to get it ready if there's an offsetting injury or things like that. The typical cost in today's time is around $600 to get an animal ready for adoption. And that's your combo testing, your shots, spay and neuter, and or shots, or flea medicine and worm medicine. That's no other injuries or anything to that. A lot of, Also, money is donated on top of what goes to the rescues to Ohio Alley Cat Resource. It's a low-cost spay and neuter program in Cincinnati. Charlotte Whitehall was the one who actually wrote the first grant for that, and inspired the transport that comes to our Kroger monthly now for over a decade. So this has been an ongoing issue that I've been in this since 2013, and believe you me, I can honestly stand here and tell you now that the number of cruelty and neglect cases has diminished since I began, but the number of abandonments, the number of mental illness cases with hoarding and things like that hasn't diminished. We have other issues that we're fighting besides these stray and ferals that are born on the streets when they're abandoned. We ask that you follow Ohio's revised code 959131 and rescind the feeding ban that was put in place by our former city manager. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I would next like to invite Marianne Zitska to the podium. And you may stand or sit according to your preference. Please adjust the microphone and speak directly into the microphone at all times. Before we begin, please state your full name and Middletown residence, work address, or interest in the city for the record. You will then have 4 minutes to speak. You may begin.
Thank you. My name is Marianne Ziska, and I live at 4621 Wicklow Drive. Hello, neighbor. Here in Middletown, and this is a total switch of topic. I wanted to ask questions. I've lived in this town for 19 years now, and what I noticed is that downtown Middletown has not really improved in the time I've lived here. And when I look at that, so I would like to ask, what is the city doing to revive downtown? I know there's a lot of work going on, but I think it's also hard to make that to see that being visible, because when I look at it, the vast majority of buildings in downtown are empty. I think it's a ratio of about 8-to-1 or something. I mean, you all know that. And it looks to me like as if nothing has been happening to most of those vacant buildings. And I thought there was a vacant property legislation on the books since 2019. That's the one I read from, and I thought that that was there to enforce that people who have vacant buildings keep up the properties and maintain them. And I'm not sure that is happening. That's kind of the question I have. Is that happening? What's going on with that? And secondly, how does that help with, like, unvacate those properties, I guess is the right word. So that's what I wanted to ask. And I know that kind of non sequitur after the cats, I'm sorry.
Thank you very much. That's fine. That's fine. We're here to hear what you have to say. I would like to invite Courtney Salentic to the podium, please. And you may stand or sit according to your preference. Please adjust the microphone and speak directly into the microphone at all times. And before we begin, please state your full name and Middletown residence, work address, or interest in the city for the record, and then you will have 4 minutes of uninterrupted speech. Please begin.
Okay, I'm Courtney Salentic. I live at 109 Kensington Street in Middletown. I work in Dayton, though. And I also am talking about downtown Middletown. I've been here over 20 years, probably close to 25. And I thought that there was an improvement going on in downtown. It was getting more vibrant. It was more fun to go down there because, let's face it, we have a lot of competition. There's lots of places we can go. All the way to Cincinnati, there's really cute towns, and then we could go to Cincinnati. Going up to Dayton, there's cute towns, and we could go to Dayton. And I thought we were starting to compete with those towns, and we had some really vibrant new businesses coming in. However, I've seen a decrease in that. I've seen more vacant buildings. Spoken is a really good example. That was a great concept. My girlfriends and I loved it. We could start there for the night, walk around, maybe look at bikes. I like to bike, get a beer, cocktail, and then go somewhere else. I am really disappointed it left, and now I hear that they're opening up in Hamilton. So I would like to know what the city is doing about vacant buildings, and like Marianne, I'm concerned that there is no movement there. Are people buying these buildings and doing them as a tax write-off and never going to support the community? It's a shame. All of this work has been done with the roads. They look great. That's a great appearance in Middletown. We have the ice skating rink that comes in, so they come ice skating, and then what are they gonna do? Walk around and get depressed by all the empty buildings. So that's my main concern. I'd like to know what council is gonna do about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Zach Stacy to the podium, please. And you may stand or sit according to your preference. Please adjust the microphone and speak directly into the microphone at all times. Before we begin, please state your full name and Middletown residence, work address, or interest in the city for the record. You will then have 4 minutes of uninterrupted speech. Please commence.
My name is Zach Stacy. I live at 640 Hamilton Lebanon Road. My interest is lifelong. I was born and raised here. My family still lives here. I spend my time and money here. I've heard a lot of stuff thrown around this evening. The word legacy was used. So I want to talk about some things that are going to reflect on this city's legacy that never seem to make the news. And it's good that we have so many folks here and cameras because now people have to listen. There's been a lot of passionate debate lately here in Middletown. It always makes me happy to see community members engage with their city government, as I just discussed with the mayor earlier. I only wish that was a more common occurrence. During times of community disagreement, it is easy for division to set in, emotion run high, and blinders to be put on. I've seen some very nasty things said about this city, its government, and this council over the last week, so I would just like to take a moment to remind folks of all the good happening right now. We've watched as the city has brought years of planning into reality with the exciting new development on the east side. We've watched the city as it's taken possession of community assets like the senior center and the town mall, putting those back into the hands of the taxpayers where they belong. I've watched as this council has ushered in the next young generation of leadership into this city building with the selection of very capable and good-hearted individuals from the new city manager to the police chief and on down. I've watched as this city government finally took real action and acted with compassion when hearing the concerns of residents about the homeless crisis in the city. By making the proactive decision to partner with the Hope Line, they have been able to provide real results and make gains in mitigating this issue, as well as getting real help to those who actually need it. We are seeing new homes built in areas of town that we have not seen development in for decades, offering young new families the option to plant their roots and make Middletown their home. We've recently seen the city make a level of investment in public safety and the police department that has been lacking for years, giving these first responders the support and resources they need. I believe you will see police and fire make great headway in addressing the public safety issues that have plagued us for years, and it should be an exciting year for them. It's easy to forget all the hard work being done when people are passionate about an issue. I can tell you I know some of the folks on this council. I know their character and I know their heart. I know they will hear you and they're going to do their best to make the right decision. I haven't had more hope in my hometown than I've had over the past year or so, and I thank the city staff and the council for fighting for this city to keeping it moving forward. I'd just like to ask you to keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Simpson. I would now like to call Michael Garver to the podium, please. Michael Garver. You may stand or sit according to your preference. Please adjust the microphone and speak directly into the microphone at all times. Before we begin, please state your full name and Middletown residence or work address for the record, and then you will have 4 minutes of uninterrupted speech. You may begin.
Thank you. My name is Michael Garver, 7108 Carson Road, Middletown, Ohio. And I'm addressing council this evening. The topic is Lemon Township. I'm a Lemon Township trustee, and I was just informed about 24 hours ago of the ordinance that you just passed tonight. Lemon Township was formed in 1803, and it was one of the largest townships in the state of Ohio. Now it's one of the smallest. I'm asking council to rescind the ordinance. What I'm afraid of is if Lemon Township gets so small, the state will come in and dissolve the township entirely. I'm not sure what the motive is for taking that land. You took some land last year along the river. There's no buildings, no improvements on this property. There's no tax revenue in it for you. I wish that it would stay the same and help us preserve our township and coexist. Thank you.
Thank you. I would now like to invite Lynn Martin to the podium, please. And you may stand or sit according to your preference. And please do adjust the microphone and speak directly into the microphone at all times. Before we begin, do state your full name and residence for the record, and then you will have 4 minutes of uninterrupted speech. Please commence.
Thank you. Lynn Martin, 1600 North Breel Boulevard, Middletown, Ohio. And I'm here about the Smith Park Cats. I know you thought it was over. And I really believe that you guys wish it was over. And we do too. We really do. We want to work with you guys. We want to work with you guys in a way that is in the best interest of everybody. But the fact of the matter is, you've heard the speeches, you've heard the facts, you've heard the examples, you've heard all this. There are cats that have lived their entire lives there. And it's in the teens. They will not relocate. They won't. They will do their darndest to get back to Smith Park, which will probably result in their death. It would be a better choice to allow us, and we've been working diligently. Cinda, everyone that's involved has been working diligently, long before y'all even knew there were cats there, to get out of that park any cat that was viable for a home life. And it's been numbers. Those that remain, the few that would remain because they were born there, lived there all their life, us monitoring them, us being there on a scheduled basis will prevent more headaches for you guys than you know. And it would be our job. We don't even ask you for pay. We just want to do it out of the goodness of our hearts, out of our own pockets. It wouldn't require you to do anything. Just let us do what we do. That's all we're asking. And that will keep you from having to deal with a way bigger issue. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. I would now like to call Sharon Ollinger to the podium. And you may sit or stand according to your preference, and please do adjust the microphone and speak directly into the microphone at all times. Before we begin, please state your full name for the record, and you will then have 4 minutes of uninterrupted speech. Please commence.
My name's Sharon Ollinger. I'm the president of a kitten rescue in Cincinnati. My address is 5934 Squirrel's Nest Lane. There have been incredible speakers here tonight that have given you amazing facts and what to do about these cats. And I watch all of you, and to be perfectly honest, most of you aren't even paying any attention to what they're saying, in my opinion. I would like to say one thing. I bottle feed. I do the kittens that are abandoned. I have spent 17 years learning to do what I do, because when I started, there was no books to read. There was nobody to train you. Most vets, if you take a tiny kitten to a vet, they're going to tell you the humane thing to do is to euthanize it. That's not true. The youngest one I ever got was 15 hours old and it lived. My point tonight is this. There are people that come to me and say they can bottle feed. Just by putting a bottle in a kitten's mouth doesn't mean you can bottle feed it. That's a good way to kill it sometimes. So you have to be trained. You have so many people at your disposal that know about cats, that know about the relocation, that know about what to do with them. Why in the world you don't get them together and come up with a plan is beyond me. Get the people that are educated, that know what to do, that know cats, that know how to deal with them and solve this problem. You all can't do this because I would venture to say that you all really don't care that much about the cats. That's my feeling from what I get from the outside. This has gone beyond Middletown. It has gone so many other places, and people are talking about Middletown. I mean, it's not in a positive way, and that makes me sad. But I wish you would use the people that have spoken here tonight, other people that are sitting here that take care of these cats, that know cats. Cats are amazing animals. I was always a dog person. I got into rescue with the dogs. And then I went to the cats because I realized how much they're mistreated and misunderstood, and I thought my time could be better spent with these little tiny kittens. I have a kitten with me tonight that I just bottle fed. That's what I do. They go with me everywhere. They've been on vacation with us. They go to weddings. They go to funerals. If I have kittens, they go with us. Please take the time to use the resources that you have in this community with the people in rescue that know what they're talking about, that know how to deal with these cats. These are living creatures that are suffering, that are dying because they're not being fed. That is inhumane. Nobody should have the right to make that decision without educating themselves on what's going on. This is just not the way that you do things. When I first came to the council meeting 2 weeks ago, and I sat and watched all of you, at the very beginning, I thought, man, do I feel sorry for them, sitting and listening to all of these. But then the more I've gotten involved in this, and the more I watch what's going on, and the more I read about what's going on, I think, you know, it's time that you educate yourself on Smith Park and the animals that are there. This is not a cat problem. This is a people problem. It's the people that are dropping these animals. If you have law enforcement that are going after the people that are feeding them, get them out there and find out the people that are dropping these animals and go after them. Leave the rescue alone. I am so proud to be a part of the rescue community. They're amazing people. They give their time, their money, they educate themselves, they do everything they possibly can to be able to do better for the animals that are out there, for people that don't care about them. They're wonderful. Cats are wonderful animals. I'll bring my little baby down if you want to see it. It's 2.5 weeks old. They're great. They're just They're phenomenal. But I ask you to use the resources you have in Middletown. There are so many even here tonight that can tell you and help you make a plan that's humane for these cats.
Thank you. Next, I would like to call Michelle L. Cornett to the podium. And you may stand or sit according to your preference. Please adjust the microphone and speak directly into it at all times. Before we begin, please do state your full name and address for the record, and then you will have 4 minutes of uninterrupted speech. Please commence.
Thank you. My name is Michelle L. Cornett. I live at 1500 Daniel Court. Been a resident in Middletown for about 9 years. I grew up in the area. Like it has been said, I don't have anything prepared, but you guys have heard it. You've heard everything that people are saying. I invite you to come down to the park and watch what we do. I answered a call on Facebook. They needed feeders. Did I really want to go and feed cats when it's 90 degrees outside, or it was raining, or it was cold outside? No. I put on my little electric socks and my headband, and I went out and I fed the cats. What I'm concerned about now with the cats is that you had one person, one animal control officer, who unilaterally made a decision to destroy the shelters, and nobody knew about it. I went to go, I feed the cats, I'm just gonna tell you, on Thursday afternoons. I went to go feed the cats, and all the shelters were gone. And the people that run our little organization of Smith Park Feeders were distraught. You can't expect people to just do what they've done for such a long time where you don't know anything about it. You guys probably didn't even, like somebody said, you didn't know anything. Come out with us just one time and see what's going on out there at the park, and you will see that it is a great community of people that are really just trying to help these animals and these cats at their own cost, at their own personal time, at their own inconvenience when it's -4 degrees outside. Like, these are a good group of people, and I don't really feel like you guys maybe don't care. I feel like you do care, and I'm not sure if it's because you just want it to go away or because you really do care about the cats, but relocation to a field is not safe. And the cats are territorial, and as soon as you remove those cats, other cats are going to come in because you create a vacuum and you create a void. About a month ago, somebody took a litter of 5 or 6 cats and a mother cat and put it in a box and put it out there in a field at the park. The AOC officer didn't find out about that. We found out about that, and we got it in a rescue. So you need us there to really help you be like citizen patrol, because that's what we do. We see what's happening in the park, and we can react. We could work with the AOC officers. We could work with you guys. But I really just feel like it's something that we can all come together and do. I'm sure that it's something that you guys also would like to do, but come out one day. I'm out there every Thursday afternoon at 4:30. My name's Michelle. Walk around with me, and let's see what's really going on out there. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you. This is our last card for the evening. I would like to call Ms. Gary Gooking to the podium, please. And you may stand or sit as according to your preference. Please adjust the microphone and speak directly into the microphone at all times. And before we begin, please state your full name and Middletown residence for the record. Then you'll have 4 minutes of uninterrupted speech. Please commence.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Gary Gooking, and I live at 4478 Wayne Madison Road in Madison Township. And I would like to read part of a letter. Dr. Stephanie Burke sent Mr. Lally an email, and I'm going to quote some of the part of it. He hopefully shared it with everybody. Did he share it with everybody that she had sent?
Of course.
Okay, of course, okay. Very good. Okay, I'm just going to bring out some pertinent information on there. She said, I would question why the I can't even read, the edict to get rid of the cats came from the city without any warning. I think a more humane way of dealing with the issue would have been to meet with the caretakers and brainstorm what could be done gradually and quietly to move the cats to a more viable location. Indeed, the shelters the shelters and sources were taken away just with some pretty horrendous weather was coming on. Why? Not only is it inhumane treatment for the cats in violation of the state law, I can't even read too well. Although I've been in contact with legal folks at the Ohio Veterinary Association who do not point that out, there are some parts in there that is kind of shaky. I'm sorry. It is pretty hurtful to the folks who have donated hours of their time and thousands of dollars to their care, a bad move on the part of the decision makers. Now, do the cats present a health problem? I really doubt it. The managed colonies, which, by the way, cost the city nothing as the care is funded by individuals, are spayed, neutered, vaccinated, and dewormed. The fact that some of them have been there for years attests to the level of their care. What about cat bites to humans? I think it's a very slight risk. The cats are vaccinated for rabies. Most cats are solitary and run when chased or bothered. I don't see the risk as any higher than it would be if any animal was bothered. And at some point, we have to behave as responsible humans where ourselves and our children are concerned. Leave stray animals alone. Simple lesson. Could veterinarians speak at elementary schools about safety around animals? We should. We are definitely qualified to do so. I think that's all. If you want to talk about health concerns at Smith Park, let them discuss the dogs at the park. Cats defecate in out-of-the-way places and bury their waste. Dogs, we know what they do. They go anywhere. Are you requiring that any dog in the park be on part of medication and that the owners show proof? Dog owners walking their dogs in the park should be followed, like the cat caretakers are being currently, and asked to show proof of the dog's vaccination care. Every single dog walker, every single one. These dogs have the potential to seed the ground with eggs from roundworms, hookworms, and whoopworms that can remain viable in the soil and ineffective to humans for months and years. And let me add that one of the most dangerous parasites of all is roundworm carried by raccoons. If ingested by humans, think kids sitting on a tree trunk that, unbeknownst to that location.
Thank you, Ms. Cooking. That is time. Thank you very much. And that concludes our public participation. The next agenda item is council comments. We will begin on my left with Councilmember Lally, followed by Councilmember Carter, and then to my right with Councilmember West, followed by Councilmember Horn, and I will speak last. Mr. Lally?
Thank you, Mayor. Can we go in reverse tonight?
Oh, no.
It's always hard to go first, right? First of all, congratulations, and I'm sure they're gone now, to Lieutenant Moore and Captain Klug. It is incredibly cool to see guys you trained through the years at the fire department now proceed through the ranks of the fire department, and it just puts a warm feeling in my heart because I knew those two gentlemen when they were rookies, and they've grown up to be good firefighter paramedics, and I know they'll be good officers. Captain Klug, interesting. He came forward a few years ago and had the opportunity. The police department had a dog that they said, we can't use this dog. It's a rescue dog, by the way. In the police department, it's a yellow lab, but we think he would make a good arson dog that can be trained to sniff out like about 15 or 16 different fuels possibly used an arson fire. So I, as the chief at the time, I said, let's do it. And Chris came forward and spent many hours of training with that dog, and it's just neat to see Chris move on up through the ranks. The funny thing is, though, and I don't know if Chief Snively's still here, but Tom, you know what you have to do tomorrow. And every time Chris got promoted, Scotty got promoted to a rank higher, because really Scotty's the smart one of the bunch. So tomorrow, obviously, we have to have a ceremony because Scotty, our arson dog, has to be promoted to deputy chief, I guess. So that's the cool thing about that. But Chief Snively, congratulations to those two. I know they'll do well. Okay. Thank you to all the volunteers who take care of the cats and the animals in Smith Park. I know you're very, very passionate about it. Cinda, you do a great job, and we appreciate that very much. And everybody who's come out tonight, thank you for your courage to come out and speak your mind. I mean, that's what this democratic process is about, and that's why we make decisions together. But I also want it understood that nobody with the city administration, City Manager Combs, Chief Nelson, our animal control officer, or this 5 of us up here want to see any harm come to cats or any animal at any park for that matter. So the accusations that we want to see harm come to any animals is false. And yeah, I think we can solve this problem together. And as I'll talk about here in a second, thought we were making great strides in that direction. But the personal attacks need to stop, or we will get nowhere. We won't solve this. And understood that no one is discouraging anybody from adopting cats. If you want to, if that you don't want that cat to be relocated, adopt it. I got 2,500 emails, and there's what, between 8 and 18 cats there? That's the first step to solving this problem. You got to be able to find somebody in that 8 to 8 or in that 2,500 emails we got to adopt the cats. Let's work together. Mayor?
Please, we have to keep silent. The public comment time is closed.
You guys had your time to comment. It's my turn.
Thank you.
Nobody wants our parks to be overrun by stray cats. And here's the thing. The silent majority in Middletown, not everyone wants to come out and be public. They don't want the parks to be overrun by stray cats. They just expect the city to do our job. And we are. We've tried to come up with a viable solution, and I am confident that we have. Representatives sat down at the table with us. The mayor and I were there. The police chief was there. The city manager was there. And we all thought we had an agreement towards solving this problem. Only to find out the next day that those very people who agreed at that table evidently changed their mind. Smith Park belongs to Middletown. All of our parks belong to Middletown, not Dayton, not Cincinnati, not Cuyahoga Falls, not Akron, not Kent, not Utica, Arizona, not the Bronx, New York. And we will decide what we will do in our parks. Not Trenton, not Franklin, not Pennsylvania, not Georgia, but us Middletonians. Nobody is keeping anybody from adopting these cats. Adopt them. Let's get them adopted. And then those that we can't, let's work towards a viable solution. But it's not going to be in one of our city parks. Our city parks are not animal sanctuaries. They are parks. They are not zoos. They are parks. We will give land to do what you want to do. We are offering that. And you are wrong. It is not an open field. There is a field there, but there is also a wooded area with trees. So that's the misinformation that's getting out there that is only hurting the situation. I understand what you're saying, that those cats will go back. Okay, I get that. Then let's work towards how we correct that. Eventually, yes, we can correct that. I'm confident. But we got to work together, folks. We care about animals. We care about cats. I had all sorts of animals for my boys when they were growing up, and we taught them how to love and care for animals. But we also have citizens out there who don't want cats. They don't want a cat colony. They don't want a horse colony. They don't want a chicken colony in our city parks. That's all city administration and city council is saying. We're wanting to work and solve this problem. And we were getting there. I want to commend the city manager, the police chief, the animal control officer, Scott Tadish, the public works director, and their team for working hard to solve the problem and keeping our city parks what they're supposed to be. But this has gone on far too long. City Manager Combs, you and your staff should move on and accomplish the important city business and don't look back. We have city staff members who can continue to work with our All Paul's Matters and volunteers to work to getting this situation straightened out.
Please, we do have to let him speak. This is his time. We had the public comment. Thank you very much. But we will be talking about it again.
Our parks are not animal sanctuaries. Our parks are not zoos. They are parks. We're willing to give pieces of property to achieve this. But it's not going to be a city park because that's what the city ordinance states. There was a problem back in 2018. That's why the city ordinance was made. I was here. Hundreds of cats were overrunning Smith Park. People complained. And sporadically, between 2018 and 2025, we did address the problem, but it was on a much smaller issues. Unfortunately, a problem arose and we realized, okay, we've got to get this straightened out. And folks, that's what we're doing. I know what I've said is not popular, but we're not having animal colonies in our parks. But we are willing to create spaces for exactly that. So we got to work together in this. I'm sorry if you're upset with me. That's the way it is, but we have to work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lay. Mrs. Carter?
Good evening, Middletown. I would like to congratulate Lieutenant Moore and Captain Klug, and also thank the cat caretakers. But I won't address that. I will let the park director, so I pass.
Thank you, Mrs. Carter. Mr. West?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone. Chief Snively, congratulations on your staff members on their promotional appointments. As always, we appreciate, the first responders in this city. For the two women who spoke earlier about downtown, we recently had 2 downtown refresh meetings. I believe those are on YouTube. So if you want, shoot me an email. I can send you the link. A lot of ideas discussed there, not only from economic development perspective, but also from several of us that were in attendance, as well as many of the, the residents. So feel free to reach out. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out today. There's a lot of things that have been said. There's a lot of insinuations, and I agreed to speak with the media multiple times about this. It's my belief that if you run for any public office, regardless if it's local, county, state, or national, you should be able to speak about the issues and speak about what's going on with them, give as many updates as possible, and talk about how that particular issue may have arose. And so it is true. I mean, council did not know anything about this. It started as an investigation, which, council does not run the city. And so there are a lot of issues that pop up unbeknownst to us. It's how it works. But I offered to speak to the media several times, especially when 700 WLW reached out, because they offered a very, very lengthy time slot. So I thought, maybe we'll be able to cover, or at least from my perspective, we know how the DJs are, we know how they're going to interview, they're always going to interject their thoughts or, their quips. But it gave me enough time to kind of talk through, where did this originate, where are we currently at, and then what are some of my ideas. And Cinda, I didn't speak to you before, so I didn't want to say your name on the radio, but I did mention All Paws Matter and thank your organization as well as the volunteers. And so I kind of spoke, I don't know, I wasn't here in 2018. I don't know all of the reasons why that ordinance was drafted, why it became a thing, right? All I can speak to is where we're at today. As some of you have heard before, when I was in college, I worked with some rescues in the area, specifically with a humane shelter locally, Animal Friends. And so we dealt with all types of cases, right? Animal cruelty, there were animals dumped. It was horrible. It was horrible. Going into work and the dog warden being there and a dog's been shot 4 times, and we have to keep the body as evidence, right? So we even had a chicken fighting ring that was busted by Butler County in Hamilton, and we had to keep them alive through the entire trial, which was terrifying. But so regardless, on 700, I specifically spoke to a lot of the facts, and I've kind of reviewed what other cities are doing, what other states are doing, what other townships are doing. I'm familiar with the success of TNR programs. I don't think this is an issue of if Middletown should have a TNR program or not. I don't think it's an issue on whether people care for animals. If anything, I think it's probably an issue on why do we have so many people that treat animals like crap. It's infuriating, and like I said in the last council meeting, if you're not an animal lover, you're weird, and I won't associate with you. But kind of looking at where we are, and like I was quoted during council comments, that was the information given to me coming out of the meeting that several members of city staff and a couple members of council, not me, that had met, and they said, hey, we have this agreement, this potential, and so I kind of spoke to that potential. But if you listen towards the end, I offered to meet with anybody and kind of discuss ideas, solutions, and I even took it a step further and said, I remember when I worked with rescues and the Humane Society, how much time and my own money I would put into whether it was seeing an animal that needed something more, seeing, and it could have been a cat or a dog, and volunteering my own, time, volunteering my own financial resources. I would take animals home a lot and tended to keep them. But, at the end of the day, I understand the dedication and the amount of time and the money that it takes going into this. So I threw out there, without even talking to anybody else in this entire room, I said, I'd be willing to advocate if we could partner with the city to help structure some sort of organization, whether it's led by All Paws Matter or, there's, maybe some other organizations that are involved, to where we can come up with some additional financial resources, because I understand how expensive the food and the TNR program is and all of those things. So I would encourage everybody, if you're going to quote me from, any of the media interviews that I've done, listen to the entire interview. There's a lot of things that have been said. I've been accused of being a cat killer. I've been accused of being an animal hater, and I'm like, I have 5 animals at my house, including a tortoise, which is going to live to be 150 years old. So I told my son that his grandkids better love tortoises, because they're going to apparently have this one. My daughter has a cat because there were a litter of kittens dumped on my front porch several years back. It was 90 degrees out. It was horrible. They were very young. I don't know how old they were, but they were extremely, extremely young. I'm pretty fortunate that one of my best friends is a veterinarian. So I was able to rehome all of them, except, of course, for one. So Dexter's still in my house, and he's extremely overweight. But I will say this, it's what I called this on the radio was these, it's an issue of passion. It doesn't matter if it's homeless, if it's talking about cats, if it's talking about our elderly, when it's a lot different than other line items of legislation or other discussions that we have. It's an issue of passion. And issues of passion bring out passionate people, right? So that's great. But, moving forward, I think there are ways that we can not only strengthen the relationship between any of our providers, our caregivers in the city, but we also have to kind of look at what other potential solutions are on the table. I understand the vacuum effect, and, there's some studies on that. Not some, but a lot of studies. I don't want to be misquoted again, but I will be willing to meet with anyone and kind of have those discussions. I will advocate if there's a program that we can establish, because I understand, like, everybody here has probably spent thousands of dollars on cat food and other things outside of even just TNR, right? So, I mean, I'd be willing to advocate for that, but at the same time, I want to be able to have a partnership to where it's a two-way street, to say, hey, look, if we can come up with some other solutions on the table, especially with people to continue to dump animals at Smith Park. That's horrible. It's terrible. But if we could come up with other solutions and look at other potential areas in the city with, city-owned property that could serve as, for example, I understand there are cats that have lived there at Smith Park specifically their entire life. And so, yes, that is a, relocating that cat or something. I understand the philosophy with that. But as new cats kind of get dumped in, are there some solutions on the table where, these newer cats, whether they're adult cats or kittens, that get dumped at Smith Park and they haven't spent any time at Smith Park, if they could get relocated to another safe area and keep that longevity out of Smith Park, that to me might be a potential solution. I don't pretend to be an expert in this, but at the same time, there have been a lot of residents that have reached out and they've expressed concern, hey, we don't want, cats at Smith Park, right? And they'll say that regardless of the number or whatever. But I'm willing to listen to all angles and work with everybody. I'm willing to meet with people. And I don't know if Michelle's still here. Okay. but she can reach out to me if you guys want to, and I'd be more than happy to meet with her and speak with her and kind of talk about what she goes through to feed the cats. But at the same time, I really want to find another long-term solution for these animals. And at the same time, the attacks and the insinuations to stop. I mean, we're all here to work together. I don't think there's anybody in this room that probably doesn't like animals. I don't, maybe there are, but so please feel free to reach out to me. Everything that I said on 700, you can quote me, you can listen to it all, and like I said then, you know, I'd be willing to advocate and work directly with the organizations and the volunteers and come up with a better solution, but really a better partnership. You know, how can we work together? What does it look long term? Because I think when you have some of these more sophisticated problems, you can have sort of a 6-month goal, 1-year goal, and a 5-year goal. So anybody, please feel free, reach out to me. You know, and as more updates come out, and you know, I haven't been a part of the you know, the meetings with you know, Cinda and the city and some other folks, but you know, as I get updates and stuff, I'd be more than willing to meet. So just please feel free to reach out to me, and you know, we have to work together, and we have to find, you know, I probably think this is maybe a 2 or 3 step with multiple potential solutions on the table, but at the end of the day, we're all human beings, and it would behoove everybody to reach out and communicate. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. West. Mr. Horn. Oh. Thank you.
One of the cool things about this job that I like is, and I don't get to feel probably the same pride that Chief Nelson and Chief Shively gets to feel, is when you work someplace for 15, 20, 30 years, and you watch someone start their journey as a first responder, be it in law enforcement or in the fire department, and you see them grow, you see them actually apply themselves, and also put themselves at risk for us, all of us. It is quite a joy, and even after I'm not doing this, I'm going to probably make it a point to come here for pinning ceremonies, because it's an amazing thing to watch these folks who want to be here and serve our city to grow, and someday might be at the chief level and get to see people below them do that. I think it's truly amazing to me to see that happening. As I said at the last meeting, this is what the framers were thinking when they made our city, that people come and speak their minds. And the thing is I want this to continue, because it's great when we have a hot topic and then, okay, the hot topic kind of gets warm and then gets a little lukewarm, gets a little cold, and then no one cares about the topic anymore. If you're passionate about this topic, then you need to be here and speak on it regularly and hold us accountable, because as Mr. West says, we want to do a partnership, but it's both ways. It's not just us doing all the work and then, okay, you did what we said. So I encourage everyone to come here, and you have 4 minutes. Take every second of it till the mayor says 4 minutes is up and you got to leave. So it's encouraging that we have citizens that are coming for this, what their passion is, be it for the cats, for what's going on in our downtown area. Shows that we actually have that one of those things that makes a city great, which is pride in one city. So I would encourage everyone to continue to do that. I think I also mentioned I love my fur buddies. When I lost one of my dogs, or lost my dog, I couldn't. It bothered me. So what did I do? I volunteered at PAWS, and I went to the training, because you just can't just go in there and say, I want to start playing with the cats and dogs. They want you to have the training and understand that some of these animals have issues, and you might not be a good fit to work with them. So I went to the training, and then I volunteered my Saturdays. until I found my little fur buddy, because I'm a small dog kind of guy. So in an emergency, I can carry him like a football, carry him out. And then also somehow I have two rescue birds. One was a vet just wanted to have it in a home, and the other one was a person who didn't want the bird anymore. So I'm for taking care of animals properly and making sure that we do it the correct way. And that's why I do appreciate for people who do volunteer, because they do take the training, they take it serious. But we also have to understand we have laws and we have situations that we have to work with one another. We've talked to other groups, not about cats, but about partnering with. We're for that. If you notice this city council for the last almost two, we're heading into year 1.5, we do things a little differently. We are active. We are trying to change things. We're trying to make things better. So, but you have to work with us. We have to understand one another, and we also have to understand there's a line where this is where we have to stop, and this is what we can do for you. But as I said, we need to continue to do this. First floor, second floor, full with people who want to give their comments. If you didn't get to comment tonight, no matter what happens, come back in May. Give your 4 minutes. If we fill up again with 12, come back second meeting in May. We're here the first and third, and we have to be here, and we have 1 hour of citizen comments that we will listen to. So I encourage those for that. Some other things I want to talk about just briefly. Friday we have the ribbon cutting for Terrasana, our first dispensary to open, one of 3. So that is something that is a new thing in Middletown. And for those who want to participate, or that's something you want to do, that we've got 1 open out of 3. Another thing is we received a very nice letter from the Middletown Arts Center thanking us for putting a donation and hopefully putting them in the budget. I have said it, and I always will say this. That is our last thing, and I've been here a while, and I've seen a lot of things. The arts is part of our fabric, and we need to embrace it. Maybe you don't want to paint. Maybe you don't want to do anything with projects or anything like with them. But at least appreciate them. When they have an event, go to it and see what they have to offer. The same thing with the SORG. They're doing a lot of work there. So we have entertainment in our city. As it gets warmer, we're going to have more events in our city parks. So we need to make sure that our citizens can enjoy that, and that was where that family gathering, that fabric of our city, and bringing new people into our city to see this is what Middletown is about. This is why you need to come here, potentially live here, work here. So these are things that we need to always continue, but working together is always the best way to go. And we try to listen, but we also have to, we're running a business here, being a city, and we have to make sure that we're adhering to that. To you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Horn. I did want to address the main issue tonight, and then I also have my regular what's going on in the city as well, and things to talk about for our residents. So first, I just wanted to say that, as you may have known, Council has received hundreds of emails from Middletonians regarding the cat population at Smith Park, hundreds. And I am grateful to the residents and stakeholders of Middletown for taking an interest in the work of the city and communicating with us via calls, emails, letters, and especially by attending our regular city council meetings and speaking. Our residents coming to a meeting in person and speaking during citizen comments is one of the best ways to communicate with city council and city staff. Your comments also go on record. So thank you for your courage and your fortitude. This topic is near and dear to me as well. We spoke, some of us, a little bit about who we are a little bit more. I wasn't going to say this, but when I was 15, I realized, I just had this epiphany that I would never need to kill anything to survive. I was not going to starve to death, I wasn't going to freeze to death, and I realized I wouldn't have to hurt animals, and that made me very, very happy. I didn't know what the word vegan was at the time, but that's continued throughout my life. I also extend that to insects. So this is something that's near and dear to my heart as well. Mr. West spoke about wanting to work together. I agree completely. From the get-go, we have been trying to do just that. So wanted to also say that this topic will continue to be discussed this evening during the city manager report section of the agenda tonight. So finishing with that, I wanted to say that this Saturday, April 19th, is our April Walk with a Doc, so please do join us at 9 a.m. in the Rosa Parks Elementary School parking lot for fresh air, medical input, good conversation, and community. On Saturday, April 26th, is the annual Kara's Mutt Strut, brought to us by Brunning Endurance Company, Kara Goheen Friends and Furball Fund, and Downtown Middletown, Inc., celebrating the life of Kara Goheen and her love of our furball friends. The race begins and ends at Primetime Fieldhouse, located at 800 2nd Avenue in downtown Middletown. Pick up your race day packets at 9 a.m. The race begins at 10 a.m. For more information, please do check and visit downtownmiddletown.org. On Saturday, April 26th, is the there's a lot going on that day, Spring Fest and Art and Craft Show is going to be held from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Pendleton Art Center, located at 1105 Central Avenue in downtown. For more information, please visit downtownmiddletown.org. The next Middletown Trash Bash is also next Saturday, April 26th, from 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at 3 locations across the city: the bus terminal downtown, Brill Church, and the 1106 Young Street parking lot. For more information on what is accepted and vouchers offered, please visit cityofmiddletown.org. Click on View All News under the heading Latest News. Also next Saturday, April 26th, from 9 a.m. to noon, as was spoken about earlier, Keep Middletown Beautiful and the City of Middletown are coordinating volunteers for the 2025 Earth Day and Arbor Day celebration. If you would like to volunteer for this annual citywide cleanup, please visit keepmiddletownbeautiful.org or call 513-425-7750. Please join in the fun downtown for May's first Friday on May 2nd for the annual Cinco de Derby, located at Governor Square in downtown Middletown. Festivities begin at 5 p.m. and end at 8 p.m. For more information, please visit downtownmiddletown.org. There is a Midpoint Library levy on the ballot for May 6th. I encourage everyone to get out and vote on May 6th. Polls will be open from 6:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. If you are unsure of your poll location, please visit the Butler County Board of Elections website at elections.bcohio.gov. Ensure your window is on full screen, scroll over Voters, and under My Voting Information, and click on Find Your Polling Location. This is where you can also view a sample of your ballot to see what issues you will be voting on. Speaking of our library, please save the date for the free community shred date coming up in Middletown at Midpoint Library downtown. You can dispose of sensitive paper documents in a safe and responsible way. Please arrive early, as patrons will be served on a first-come, first-served basis. And bring your paper to be shredded to Midpoint Library Middletown, located at 125 South Broad Street in downtown from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. on Saturday, May 10th. As a reminder, the City of Middletown accepts applications for our boards and commissions throughout the year, so if there is something that you have an interest in and you wish to give back to your city in this way, please do submit your application. To learn more, please visit the city's website at cityofmiddletown.org. Lastly, and as always, there are many ways to get involved with your community and give back. Join a board or committee, run for office, apply for a job with the city, volunteer at the hospital, pick up trash in your neighborhood or park, plant a garden in your yard, smile at a neighbor, find joy and satisfaction for a job well done in whatever work you do, or just have a positive and giving attitude. Find something that you can do regularly and give back. We are all connected and we are all in this together. The care of our city is an adventure in which we all get to share. This is all for me tonight, and this concludes council comments. At this time, it's almost 7 p.m. I would like to take a 10-minute break. We will come back to open session at 7:09. Thank you. Starting the meeting, please be seated and we will commence. If we can please be seated, will we begin our meeting? Thank you so much. The next item on the agenda this evening is City Manager reports. City Manager Ms. Ashley Combs, you have the floor.
Good evening. So there's two presentations and an update, so 3 items tonight. The first being a presentation from Holiday Hoopla. I invite Ben Earls and Avon Kaiser down to give that presentation.
Thanks very much. Is it too early to say happy holidays to everybody? Thanks for the opportunity to speak tonight. We do have a presentation. I anticipate slides will be populated at any moment. But first I'd like to say, I guess, thanks.
Excuse me one moment, please.
Sure.
Would you mind taking the conversation outside, please? Thank you so much. Excuse me. Thank you. Please proceed.
Sure. First I'd like to say thank you to the city for your support, our community members, as well as the board members that have come alongside to help make the Holiday Hoopla, the ice rink that lands on the Swallens lot the past 4 years here in the city of Middletown. Just thanks for all your support and helping make that a reality. It's been a lot of fun. It's been increasing in popularity over the years. We've seen activity grow and community get more and more involved. And it also takes a lot of work from volunteers and the city that's come alongside. And believe me, having helped set that up and tear it down for a couple years, and then to have city resources come along and help with that, it's tremendous just to take care of that and get it all going. So what we wanted to talk about tonight is the future of the Holiday Hoopla, the rink specifically.
Do you have the presentation in front of you? Yeah, we do.
Yeah, that's it. Hold on. Yep.
Okay.
Here we go.
Thanks very much. I'll just do a quick test. Okay. Yeah, so what we'd like to talk about is just the future of the rink. We recognize an opportunity that's come about for the future home of the rink. We understand that future development that may occur on Swallens lot would mean that the rink would need to move to a future location that could be on top of the park that is planned for the cap of the reservoir that's happening on Main Street just over here that's under construction right now. So what we'd like to talk about, one is just a reminder of the Holiday Hoopla vision and goals. So why the Hoopla, why this rink, where we started with that amenity for the community. And then also talk about this future opportunity of a permanent versus the portable rink that the city has purchased, and what the logistics of that looks like for the future, and then talk about the ongoing partnership of the Hoopla with the city of Middletown. So our primary objective really for all of this is to provide additional information and clarity around the ice rink operations and that future state viability of the permanent ice rink and that ongoing partnership in support of the downtown amenity. So with that, I'll turn it over to the Hoopla president to talk a little bit about our vision and goals.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Avon Kaiser, and you've seen me over the years, many of you. This really speaks to a lot of what has been discussed tonight, is about building a community that's engaged, bringing a destination to bring visitors that'll spend money here, that'll help us revitalize downtown, and also bring in, during this very difficult season in the wintertime, bring life and activity downtown. DMI does a great job, but together we bring a depth of programming that really invites people to come down, see our city, and enjoy it. We have thousands of visitors annually. We increased the foot traffic to local businesses, and we've created lots of jobs over the past 4 years. We've had at least 55 seasonal employees, 45 of which were Middletown residents. 23 of those were high school students, and 10 were college students. So we're getting the youth involved in their community, which is really exciting.
Ms. Kaiser, I'm sorry to interrupt. Would you mind making sure you're speaking into the
Sorry,
microphone?
sorry.
Make sure everybody can hear. Thank you.
Sorry. We also we want to be a regional attraction. The goal is to say, all right, we want those dollars that are going to Liberty, to Westchester, to Springboro, to Lebanon, to come here. There should be we are a holiday season, but we can also do it throughout the entire year with this permanent rink suggestion. The other impact we have is the health and well-being of our community. It provides an affordable, accessible outdoor activity that promotes physical activity. We also give a lot of free skating tickets to a lot of the nonprofits in town, whether it be CBI, All Pro Dads, the Hope House. Anyone who asks, we pretty much try to give the free tickets that are needed. We also want to foster unity. That was one of the missions of the Holiday Hoopla, was to create a shared experience with Middletown residents. So no matter where you are, where you live in the community, you're creating bonds and encouraging community growth. Next slide. The other area that really speaks to what Courtney and Marianne were talking about is really what is the fundamental need for this amenity. It's to bring people together no matter what their diversity and their backgrounds are, but it's also to say, okay, downtown, we need to develop this area. And this could be the catalyst of change, because when you look back at strategic plans that we've had over the years, if you look at the 2017 Downtown Strategic Plan, it speaks about a flexible space for concerts and food trucks and events, and also coordinates the calendar for seasonal downtown activities for all ages. The Hoopla and the ice rink does that, and also works in conjunction with Light Up Middletown to bring awareness to downtown and really give visitors a breadth of programming that will keep them here spending dollars and supporting our local commerce. And then in the 2022 comprehensive plan for the city, we talked about strong infrastructure, maintain parks and a safe place for people to enjoy. Again, this is what the goal is for the Holiday Hoopla as we look to a more permanent place in the park. And the health and safety of our living environment. We want really an amenity that promotes physical activity and encourages people to get out of the rink area. Again, we'll bring a breadth of programming for kids. There's not a lot to do for young people here in town. And so this is what we've seen, a lot of young people participating, a lot of groups having their birthday parties, so it's really accomplishing that goal. And as you can see, we are a very successful public-private partnership over the past 4 years. We've had multiple years with the same groups supporting us, so it's been a big deal, and they believe in our vision, and the city has too, and we appreciate all that you've done getting us to this point.
And so now we want to chat a little bit about the permanent versus the portable rink. As folks recall, that portable rink was purchased by the city. We've also received assistance from the city in the setup this past year and some of that tear down of that rink specifically. And so just for a basic understanding of what permanent versus portable is, the current portable rink is a series of tubes and glycol that fills the tubes, the dasher boards that get set up, a chiller that gets brought in and craned in and sat, and everything gets set up and then all torn out. We've recognized some loss of glycol in that situation. Parts can be damaged, and it's an ongoing cost for the setup and tear down to do that, versus a permanent rink that would allow for like a concrete slab with that tubing and glycol to freeze the ice in the winter to be permanently installed, flip of a switch with a permanent chiller to get to set up each year, and then dasher boards that could stay in place. And then for these other amenities or activities throughout the year, could be a switch of the surface of putting the skate rink down or the outdoor sort of roller skating rink over top of that concrete pad. And so we'll talk a little about some of those amenities or activities that can happen with a permanent rink. So first, just comparing some of the setup and logistics involved with the permanent versus the portable rink. You can see all that takes place each holiday season for the portable rink is there on the left. And so again, we thank everyone for your help doing that, but there's certainly a cost to that, which we'll look at in a minute, and certainly a lot of effort and volunteer hours versus the permanent rink. and the anticipated activity needed to simply turn on a chiller that would already be in place, fill the ice rink with water throughout the season, and then turn that off at the end of the season. So looking at some of that cost comparison of the operating cost for the permanent versus the portable rink. There on the left, you see the portable rink. So there's holiday hoopla costs that's incurred each year of around $58,000 for each of those activities listed. Again, setup and tear down of the chiller that gets brought in, things like the skate shed, all those things you see out there from season to season. We also, again, extremely thankful to our in-kind corporate partnership with local corporate partners that offer and provide about $16,000 worth of support for the site. And then certainly the city in-kind partner assistance that's got a cost of around $89,000 in equivalency to those hours or public works support and the setup of those city-owned components. Versus what we anticipate for the future permanent rink, and those logistics really being made up of that in-kind partner assistance of around $7,200. Again, that's city water, city electric, and the process of filling the rink. So kind of breaking that down, there's two different permanent rink sizes that we would propose for this future location. If it were to be constructed from day one when the park is in place. So one, there's a 100-foot by 60-foot rink. That's the size of what the current portable rink is now. And there's a list of activities that we can do on that size listed there below. And then on the right is a slightly larger size of about 120 by 60. Just that small growth allows for a longer list of things that can be done not only during the holiday season or the winter months, but throughout the year. So the cost difference between the two, roughly $100,000 over the life of the rink, relatively a small investment for the activities that you could get or have on a more permanent rink. So on broom ball is an activity that we haven't done yet with the rink, but we hope to do that in the future just to get more involvement. With that, a future permanent rink could offer pickleball courts through those warmer months, roller skating, of course, as we mentioned, and several other things on top of ice. It's kind of listed there. I guess I'll back up 1 second. One thing we want to mention, we do recognize that there is a future investment of hockey arena or hockey facilities out towards the highway. We see this rink as a potential complement to that in the community. On one hand, it's a great way to get the community outside during the winter and have an activity to do and draw business to downtown, as Evan kind of talked about. But that larger size would also offer the opportunity for pond hockey type tournaments and getting kids, introducing the community to the sport of hockey that may turn into something else that's growing in this region. So ROI, we do recognize that cost is significant to go from the portable to the permanent rink. We also want to point out that the cost of a future permanent installation after the fact would be greater than if it was done day one when this park was installed. But we see the return on investment for the permanent, each of these sizes, again, relatively comparable in the numbers. Kind of show that first cost for each one is listed there. But then we look at the payback period of 9 versus 10 years, again, just for that incremental cost difference over time. There would continue to be additional fundraising to go towards that, which we'll talk a little bit maybe in the partnership component of this presentation.
And there is a buyback. We did add that in, so if we do go permanent, the ice rink, Magic Ice, will buy back our portable one, and so that is included in ROI there. So we will have that cost associated.
Yeah. So we'll talk a little bit about that ongoing partnership. for this investment and what the holiday hoopla looks like in the future.
So I want to be really clear about what this is. So we are currently contracted by the city to manage and operate your portable ice rink. It belongs to the city, and we are just the organization you chose because we kind of told you to hire us because we love it and we're going to make it successful for you. So we still love this. Our mission is to continue to bring the city an amenity that draws visitors and really builds community. So that would continue. We would continue to manage the ice rink. We would pay to cover the operational costs. We would continue to program and build community engagement around the ice rink, the roller rink, the pickleball. We would do the social media and website marketing for the permanent ice rink. And the whole goal is to build revenue. Eventually, we will be making money on this ice rink, and we will continue to fundraise and get corporate support. But when we get those ticket sales, we want to invest those ticket sales in continuing to support the ice rink, but also build amenities in the future for that park, continue to invest in the park that we're located in. So if you want to go to the next slide, we can talk a little bit about that. So as the rink profits become greater than our expenses, which shouldn't be very long, because now when you look at that $7,200 cost, it's not going to be hard for us to get that. We'll continue to pay a rink manager, pay for staff, pay for payroll and all that. But then in phase one, what we hope to do is buy a sport court, which is what it's like plastic that you lay down on top of that cement pad that we just made for the ice rink, and that can be color coded any way we want. If we want 4 pickleball courts on there and a roller rink, it could be that. And then we'll run it during the spring and summer as a pickleball and roller rink, and then in the winter will be the ice rink. Phase 2, in the plans for the park, it does discuss a pergola, but I know that that's very expensive, so we're probably going to we will fundraise for that to, again, slowly add amenities that will grow the beauty and attractiveness for visitors and citizens for this amenity in the park. And then stage 3, I think there was a permanent stage originally designed in the park, and then that was kind of taken away and discussed, maybe just using our portable stage. But that would be something that the Hoopla would want to, continue to raise money for, is to maybe put in a permanent sound system and stage and a giant TV, so that when we have movies in the park or we want to watch the Middies play football against their rival, we're all gathering in the park. So to me, this is an investment in investing more in the future. So this investment will make you money that will continue to feed this park, and then once these phases are done, we can go to other parks. We are just the facilitators of getting the money and giving it back to the city to do what they need to do with either this Main Street park or future improvements in other parks. So the goal is to have this make the city money that can work for it. It's working for the city. So do you have any questions with regard to what we've discussed so far? I know we have some pictures of the park and the layout. I didn't know if that was that included on the...
Yeah, I don't think it's included with this presentation that we have.
It might be in your packet. We do have pictures of any potential layouts. There's like 3 phases or 3 options of layouts for that permanent rink. We did do weight testing, and based on what we talked with Scott Tadish about and the people doing the work, it can hold an ice rink that's filled with ice and skaters and things like that. So, yes.
I want to say I absolutely love the whole idea. And it sits right in the middle of the city. It's accessible. I love it.
Thank you. I have a few questions. So, what I see this growing into, or what you guys almost accomplished, is what you see at Fountain Square, where they set up an ice skating rink, they have bumper boats and everything else, and they also have, which, I don't know who runs it, but on the side of a building, they have a big jumbotron. They can watch Bengals games, whatever games like that. So anything that's permanent, I am kind of for, because as you know, temporary, you have to take it down, that takes labor, it takes time, and then sometimes in storage, it can get damaged or what have you, but that'll lead into my next set of questions. So you're saying that you will maintain this, that our public works will have nothing to do with maintaining this property at all on your permanent. Is that accurate?
Correct. There's nothing they need to do.
Okay, I'm just asking questions. So with that being said, so then you'll provide all the workers and all the training that goes along with that. And this being year-round, sorry, I had that on vibrate. There's going to be times, I guess, when you can't roller skate or you can't do ice skating. So, and that's what I kind of like about that opportunity, that moving you guys from there over to this park, and are actually kind of even building it for that permanent situation, because I like permanent better, but it has to be maintained. So then my next question, and this is more the business side of it. So in your numbers here, I always look at, when I see your equipment and we have to maintain equipment, what is the depreciation of the chiller? Is it 5 years, 10 years you're replacing it, or is it a 15-year? And then I'll go to my next question.
So I can find that out for you. I can go to HERC, but I do know that in ice rinks that I've talked to, there's one in Canton and Akron. One's at 15 years and still going, and one's at 22.
Right, and as a partner, what I'm trying to show for future councils who might not even be here yet is you're going to come to them and say, hey, our chiller needs rebuilt, or it has outlived the manufacturer's recommended lifespan. I've had to say that a lot when I have to write reports. Right. So I just want to make sure that everyone's aware that when you use things, they do wear out. And it's not being abusive, it's doing its job. And that might be pumps, that might be motors, it just might be something. So just everyone needs to be aware that down the road as partners here, that you might have to come back to us and say, hey, by the way, this is this. And nothing I've always noticed, things don't go cheaper. When you buy something for $100,000, 10 years from now, for some reason, it's now $250,000. So that's one thing. And then how long, and again, I'm just throwing these out here just so it's public record and we have the questions. What is the lifespan of the actual permanent rink, ice rink slash roller rink? Did they tell you how long, is it 20 years? Is it 25 years? Because again, it's going to be a situation where down the road you're going to say, okay, the concrete needs to be fixed, or the glycol tubing has to be repaired. And you're saying you're going to do the maintenance. That means our public works person is not going to have to put that in their budget. It's going to be your situation.
Right, because we are generating revenue. But I do want to clarify, Public Works will help with the Zamboni.
Okay,
So
cool.
that is because they have the maintenance team. I don't have a maintenance
I've always wanted to drive the Zamboni.
So,
I
and
I was going to say,
hopefully
it's just because Scott wants to drive it.
Yeah, that's
right.
right.
Hopefully I can get us a new Zamboni. I'll fundraise for that because the one we have.
I'm first. I get
Yeah.
to drive it.
The lifespan of the rink, of the permanent rink, I can get that information for you as well. I don't want to say something I don't know, but I do know it would just be based on the wear and tear on the cement.
Right, and
You know,
and seasons. I mean,
Yeah.
we have 2 seasons in Ohio, summer and winter.
Right.
Anything in between is a gift.
Right.
And that's why I just want to make sure these questions are said, because I am definitely, and even a permanent stage or a place where we can put something big screen, because it is, Cincinnati, they take theirs down every year, but it is an event that and you see it, and they crane Santa Claus down, and they light the tree and everything else. But permanent is kind of nice because we're going to have this nice park, and it might as well go ahead and make that a draw.
And just along that point, I think we're on the cusp of greatness here, honestly, with downtown. This could be the catalyst that says to developers, okay, you've got this amenity for families to hang out all year long. It's beautiful. You can walk your kids around. You can go ice skating. You can go roller skating. You can play pickleball. It's outside. Maybe now I'm going to develop this building. I see a future of my pro forma being met because I think there's going to be people living in these. I can get people to live here because of this amenity. Right. We're very close, to chicken and egg situation. Hopefully
I totally agree. And anytime you can get people out, I mean, like I'm an avid hockey fan, ice hockey fan. I can actually name the original 6. I'm proud of that. So even just just to get people out and getting that exercise instead of this.
Right.
It's great, and it's something where if we can utilize this for what the climate that we're living in, meaning the weather, that you can utilize this and maintain it, it'll be absolutely amazing. And then, like you said, as we go further with this with sponsorship, the sponsorship is what really drives it. If you go to any hockey game, a hockey arena, you just see sponsors on the boards, sponsors on the Zamboni. It's all about that, and then where we can be that partner to help you, that I'm all for that. So, but that's all I just want to know is just basically the nuts and bolts. That's kind of what I am about. So that's all the questions I have.
Good question. That you kind of mentioned, all these parts kind of break down at different times. I mean, just any homeowner knows you're constantly fixing something, right? So I guess the hope is with the realization of the annual revenue minus those operating costs that we would be incurring every year, that again, there's more money going back to the ongoing maintenance.
Any other questions or comments from council?
No, just quick comment for me. I mean, we've been kind of looking at, I've met with Avin and Ben several times, and I think, Mayor, you've been in some of those meetings, and I've kind of looked at this several different ways, and we know that, the park, that's going to be the cap to the CSO basin. I think the CSO basin will be operating by end of this year? Is that what they're saying? And next summer, yeah. So, I mean, this project isn't that far out. So I think it's great that we can kind of look at, a couple of these options. And really, when you look at the permanent option, when you compare the smaller versus the larger, I mean, there's really no comparison. I mean, you have to, if you're going to pull the trigger, go for the larger one. And I support it. I mean, I think it's been a great thing for downtown, especially in the wintertime. The permanent will obviously give us potential into the other seasons. And it plays well with all the other holiday events here as well. So I think it's a great investment. I've always been kind of concerned with there being a temporary rink, that temporary things, have a way of being temporary, right? So, and a lot of people have traveled here, and even the local residents, I mean, it's just on their list of things to do in the wintertime. And I've been there before when there's been organizations that you've donated tickets to and have seen the kids, for Middletown Public Schools, like that's a reward, right? To go out there and skate. And it's a little frustrating because it's the first time they're on ice skates and they're like, great, so, I still can't ice skate. I'd break my neck, but no, I appreciate, all the time that you and your board have put into this, over the years, not just this presentation, but, it's brought, something great to downtown, in the coldest season when there's not as much going on. So thank you.
Yep. So the city has a lot of time and financial resources already, tied up into the holiday hoopla. And there's actually a pretty good lesson for everybody here tonight on what can happen when the private group and the city sit down and hash through how to build this, because Avin, we had some pretty rough times, didn't we? The meetings got pretty contentious. We didn't see eye to eye, but we sat down at the table and we worked through those issues and those problems. Because quite frankly, they had to win me over. I was the city manager, and I was the earpiece to city council, and I was saying, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. But actually, after we sat down and we worked through a lot of the issues, we worked through a lot of the problems, look where we're at today. This thing is a huge hit for the city. I mean, a huge hit for the city. And it worked out, but and it wasn't always, and that's my point of this whole thing, especially what we talked about, earlier, and we're going to talk about a little bit more later. If we sit, this is a result of if we sit down, listen to each other, figure things out at the table, talking face to face, and not try to accomplish it through social media or rumors and all that stuff. It'll work. It will work. We will figure all this stuff out. And this, once again, this will become one of the gems of Middletown. It really already is. And, I look at some of the gems of Middletown, the library, the Sorg, and I don't want to leave anything out, but this truly is becoming one of the gems of Middletown. And I think we've got So much good invested in this. We need to stay the course and keep going. So,
That means a lot, Paul.
Thank you. Do you have more to say on this as well? Is this it? Because I'd love to just congratulate you and thank you again. Actually, Ms. Kaiser, this is how we met. You had called to see if I wanted to be interested many years ago, and I was very interested, but just time constrained. So I did what I could. But this, like Mr. Lawley, everybody's been saying, it's just fantastic. And I always say it's like during the winter, Middletown turns into a Hallmark movie with Very Merry Middletown that has resulted from downtown Middletown events, light up Middletown for so long, for decades, and then now Holiday Hoopla for the past 4 years. It's already become an event for families. People look forward to this every single year. I'm extremely proud of all of you, what you have done, and extremely proud of Middletown because of this event. Thank you for your heart and your dedication, your passion. We spoke about that a lot. You guys are amazing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Next, we'll have a presentation for the existing fire station along Dixie Highway for the conversion to a police substation.
Thank you.
Evening, Council and Madam Mayor. This has been in talks since the strategic meeting that we could utilize the old fire station and turn it into a substation as to help make us more efficient at our job as development of the East End continues to grow. There have been some concerns about our response times to that side of town coming from this side of town, and we relayed that information to you that it takes about 10 minutes to get there. So we're asked to look at the old fire station and see how we can repurpose it and come up with some ideas of how we're going to utilize that information. I would love to take credit for this, but the Lieutenant Porter works extremely hard on this, so I'll let him come down and kind of go through the slides and show you his ideas of what we want to do for the fire station.
I'm Lieutenant Porter. I was tasked to come up with some plans about what we want to do with the police substation. I had never been through the building before. Once I went through it, I realized why the fire people needed new firehouses. So, so some of the benefits of us having the substation, number one is we got a lot of female cops in our department now. So they don't have the luxury of just using the restroom like the men do. So this becomes a efficiency problem where they have to come all the way down to the city building just to use a restroom. So that's one of our main reasons we get out there, because our city got bigger on the East End now. So they don't have to come all the way down there just to go use the restroom. So that's one of our reasons why this would help us out a lot. Another reason is that it provides a safe space for officers to eat their meals and stuff like that, or take a break at the substation. So a lot of times officers have to either eat their meals in their cars, and they have to keep watching around to see if anybody's walking up on them and stuff like that. So it just provides a safe space for them also to sit and have a break or do their lunch breaks. Additionally, it gives us extra storage space. There's a lot of things in our PD that we're kind of overran, where we're trying to find where to put things at, and we're kind of running out of room. So that'll give us some extra room also, with our PD getting a little bit bigger now, which involves more equipment and stuff like that. So it also gives officers a place to do like paperwork and stuff like that, and just makes things a little bit more efficient. There's also some mandatory training that we have, like every 2 months, that they have to come all the way down to the building to try to complete that type of stuff. So they'll have a place out there where, like, if a hot call comes in or something like that, they can go to that building instead. That way their response time to a call will be a little bit shorter, because they're still on the east end of town. So these are just some pictures of the exterior. The exterior is not bad. It probably needs to be painted a little bit, but exterior, it's a concrete, it's a center block construction. Seems to be in good shape. There were some minor things with the like gutters and stuff like that, but not too big of a deal. The garage actually had to drive our MRAP out there just to make sure it fit, but it did. So it gives us a a spot to put our MRAP. Our MRAP, if people don't know, we use our MRAP. That's our SWAT vehicle. It is kind of it's high, so we needed something to fit in there, which I'm pretty sure it was going to fit in there because fire trucks fit in there. So, also this gives us some room for some extra cruisers out there because the plan is to eventually have some officers respond out there. That way, when they respond for their shift, they already have some things out there. So we already have cars out there also. It also provides some extra additional storage space that we're going to use that garage for also on the right side. So these are just the bathroom areas that are in there. One of these pictures over here to your right are just pictures of the locker room. This would be an area just like we do down here at the building. We have a locker room area where officers get ready before their shifts. They got their stuff in their lockers and a place to store their equipment and uniforms and stuff like that, and a place to also use the restroom. These are pictures of the locker room. Of course, we want to update those lockers, so we'll probably need some lockers, but it's just enough space for some officers to be stationed out there. We don't need it to be super big or anything like that. But it's just enough space to station a couple officers out there. This area right here, I guess, used to be the sleeping quarters for the fire department. This area is what we want to plan to use for a squad room, so which we call roll call down here. So in roll call, this is where officers get their information about suspects they need to look after during their shift, or things to watch out for, speed complaints, and all types of stuff. So the plan is to get some furniture in there and TVs and stuff like that, so we can have monitors and they can zoom in to the roll call at the sergeants down here at the building. That way, when they get a hot call or something, which happens all the time, usually down here at the building, if it's a hot call on the east end, it's going to take them a little time to get through, especially on 3011s, get through traffic and stuff like that. So this gives them already a station out on the east end where they can get to those calls a little faster. Just makes things a little bit more efficient. This right here is the kitchen area. Just gives officers a place to get their things together. Just like down here at the city building, we have a break area where they can prepare their food and stuff like that down here. They can take breaks down here, but just makes it a little bit more efficient, again, that they can do that stuff out on the east end. This area right here will be this is more like a break room area. Kind of in my mind, we could put some tables and stuff out there for officers to sit down and eat, take a break. Then this area right here, I guess, used to be where the fire department had some of their office equipment. Over here, we would set up probably 2 or 3 workstations out here. And these workstations would serve as areas for officers to do paperwork and things like that. If sometimes we might make an arrest or something like that, and we will sometimes either write a summons, especially for juveniles or something like that. This would be a good space for them to get that type of paperwork done, or training, or whatever they need to do out there, just like they would be able to do down here. So these are just some of the things that we looked into that we probably need to either get or upgrade. Of course, lockers, some fencing for some extra storage, and then of course painting, lighting, flooring, some gutter repair, key card system, security cameras, and some computers, printers, and some things for the kitchen, and then also some shelving and stuff for the storage areas. And then also a BAC machine, which is if we bring somebody in that just has a DUI or something like that, and we really don't want to book them and fill up the jail with them at that time, we could give them the test down there, and just makes things a little bit more efficient, and we will release them and then give them a court date. So so that's just some of the things we came up with. It's just some small plans that we have for the substation. So.
All right. Any questions or comments?
I think, did we hear you right in terms of, let's say, an officer will report for work there, do their shift, and go home from there. They won't have to go downtown to report to work.
Yes.
So this is almost, it's a true precinct.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Except there isn't a holding cell.
No, there isn't a holding cell. We don't plan on using it we don't plan on holding anybody there, but sometimes when we make arrests, there's other things you can do in lieu of arrest, which is write summonses, and for juveniles, majority of the time, we can write them 101s, which is just the summons in the court. So something, we don't need a holding cell for those types of things, so.
I'm thinking of arresting someone and doing the paperwork, and I notice those windows.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when people who come by that when they think they're under arrest. So that's the reason I was talking about a holding cell.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, since the city manager and I,
Sorry, fine.
we talked about that. The plan was to, on that, I don't know if you saw that one wall that was kind of bare there, was to put a bench there with a railing so that they could be secure there, so that if there is someone who's being violent at the time, we can utilize that space to secure them there while we conduct our paperwork or we find them way home. But in the event that they become extremely violent on the way to the substation, we'd always transport them down here to the main building where they'd be processed into the jail. Processing people out at the substation is merely just for those non-violent offenders, just to keep our officers in service or get those officers back in service a little bit quicker, such as petty thefts from our retail facilities. Juvenile arrest requires a lot of time. We have to get a hold of a parent. We just can't take them down to the juvenile detention facility. That's another option. Warren County is a little different as it goes to processing juveniles when we make an arrest or an attempt to make an arrest, which is different from the Butler County side. So being in Warren County and having that substation, is a little bit easier, but there's some space that we plan to utilize for that.
I think a holding cell would make me comfortable with officers taking people inside that building.
And that is something we can look at and trying to find a space for that, but yeah, that's something we can address as well.
So, Chief, quick question. A lot of this stuff on here doesn't, I mean, some of the equipment and stuff might have a lag from when you order it and stuff, but really, you could potentially have this up and running fairly quickly, right?
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, I don't know how the rest of council feels, but we could just put, a line item that says, not to exceed 150,000, for example, and, so that way you can expedite, starting to order, some of these materials and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know if you have an idea on when you want to have it up and running, but we don't want to delay, right? So we don't want the delay to be on our end. So
our goal was to do this as a slow integration as we increase our minimal staffing for the East End, as we talked about in the strategic planning session, where we plan on increasing the amount of officers that will service the east side of town. But as we increase those number of officers we put on the east end of town is when we plan on trying to integrate the substation into it as well. And I think Lieutenant Porter didn't mention one thing that is really kind of important for us on this side of town is that we are landlocked when it comes to property, and the storage of property that we need for court purposes or that the state requires us to keep on hand. This will allow us to take some of that long-term storage and place it out there and free up some space for some more items that we have to keep secure here. So there's a different level of security when it comes to property that we have to maintain. We can take those low-tier items and move them out there for safekeeping, and then free up space down here. So that's a big help to our property officer. He yells at us every day that we're running out of space. But as you know, in the homicide trial, any evidence in a homicide trial has to be stored for a lifetime. So that will help us out tremendously as we open up space down here and move things out to that side of town.
I have a few things. Appreciate the presentation, Lieutenant. It really helps us to see why we need this. As I've said before, this is a great location. We already own the building because if you have a situation where you have to respond to the high school to help to assist your SROs, you're good. You have the east side, or if you have a situation at Braille, then downtown, and you can respond quicker. One thing, like Mr. West said, I would put a budget a little higher than this, put a contingency on this, and this is probably more for the public works. I know she had a generator. I'd like that generator checked and make sure it's been maintained, because that's really great, because in a storm situation, then you still have your servers, you still have everything you need, and that's a building that needs to continue to stay on at all times. So yeah, we need to make sure there's some contingency money for you start moving stuff around, it's like, oh, we have this and we have that problem. But I'm all for moving this budget up to 175,000 and proceed forward and at your timeline, Chief, on what you want to do with this. But I think this is going to really help out. And I didn't even think about lunch. You always just think they just eat in their cruisers, but this is another situation where they can sit down, take a break, from the world that they're in, and know they're in a safe space. So thank you again.
Have you identified an area of the budget that this would be funded out of, or is this going to take an appropriation?
Good question. The city managers we talked about at our strategic work session or a little bit afterwards, city manager is working with staff and intends to present a mid-year general fund supplemental because we're in a little bit better place than we thought we would be at this point in time. And so this project, along with others, would be there as an option for you to consider. But I think our intention is to bring that to you here in May.
Yeah, so one thing I was thinking about while they were talking about this, remember we have the one fund, I forget the building fund it is, where we were considering funding the air handling system because it's to be used on building upgrades and stuff, and that was pretty healthy in the upper 300,000s. I mean, I think that's a start. I know we're probably going to have to look at that air handling thing later in the year, but I mean, if we need to get started right away, I think that might be the place to look at. I don't want to. I'm just saying that as a suggestion.
Yeah, no,
I'm not trying to
that's well
tell you
taken.
what to do.
Yeah, our issue with that from the property development fund is we just didn't have anything appropriated one way or another. So
right.
But
right.
yeah, no, and I think that'll be part of the discussion most definitely.
What about the space that the fire department,
Please turn your microphone on. Thank you.
the space that the fire department is providing out there, 81 or
82.
82?
The office out at New Station 82, which is relatively small.
So yeah, that spot out there is relatively small, and I think it's just small enough just for a desk and a chair. I think it's a real small room. Right. So we get it will help for. So in our beat plans, if you're familiar with our new beat plan, east of the highway, there'll be another beat that we added out there, which will be probably beat 19, and that officer will be right there in that area. So that beat 19 officer can also use that area too, but it wouldn't be a spot where
Excuse me one moment, please. I'm so sorry. Excuse me. Can we please hold the conversation down for a moment? Excuse me. Or you can step outside if you wish to continue right now. Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you.
Yeah. So that beat will be B19. So it's not big enough to house like multiple officers out there. It's just simply just a workspace out there. So.
Okay.
So you won't use that at all, or you will?
No, the beat officer out there, he can use that.
Right, you were talking about beat 19.
Yes.
And that is what area?
That's anything east of the highway of 75.
Right, okay. Okay. I still would like to see a holding cell.
Okay.
I think that's appropriate to have a holding cell if you're going to have that much space to bring someone else in. No telling what could happen.
The only thing I'd worry about that is what it adds in terms of regulation, state regulations.
Oh.
That could increase that cost extremely high.
It could also be a setup to be in a space and you have no space for someone that's been convicted, well, not convicted, but arrested for something or picked up for something, and you're all in that building together. I still think a holding cell would be appropriate. So maybe you can check out and see. Most substations I've been in, they have a holding cell.
All right, thank you. Are there any other comments or questions from council at this time? No, well, thank you very much, Chief, and thank you very much, Lieutenant.
Next, I'd like to give an update on the Smith Park Cat Colony with some background information and an update. This is from the city's perspective. First, we'd like to express our appreciation to everyone who shared their thoughts and concerns about the cat colony in Smith Park. Your engagement emphasizes our strong sense of community, and we value your input. Smith Park recently experienced incidents related to the treatment and harming of animals. We are deeply concerned for the welfare of the animals and are committed to creating a safe environment for them all. In a genuine effort to protect the cats and all animals in the park, the city removed the cat shelters from Smith Park. This action was in accordance with city ordinances that prohibited feeding and providing food to animals in the park. Our primary goal is to eliminate risks to the animals and the people in the park. During the investigation process, the city monitored the park more closely. Our Public Works Department also tested the pond, and upon review by treatment plant staff, we found the water to be exceptional. There's no evidence that the pond poses any risk to the local wildlife. On Wednesday, April 2nd, following the City Council meeting, representatives from the Middletown City Council, City Administration, and Public Works Department and Division of Police met with Cinda Lee, the president of All Paws Matter Rescue, and a volunteer caregiver regarding the Smith Park cats. Cinda's dedication for caring for the cats in Smith Park and all animals is inspiring, and we left the meeting with a shared commitment to developing a long-term solution. Last week, on Monday, April 7th, staff met again with Cinda and a volunteer caregiver, and the group agreed to move forward with the rehoming strategy for the Smith Park cats. We've also utilized the city's communication channels to promote the rehoming effort, aiming to find loving homes for the cats. During the meeting, in an effort to achieve a long-term solution, the city offered another property to relocate the cats who were unable or unsuitable for rehoming. The city property would accommodate their protection and comply with the current city ordinances. The location provides a suitable environment with ample land and trees. Volunteers would also be allowed to construct the cat shelters. The city will also reimburse the costs that were incurred by the removal of the cat shelters in Smith Park. I just want to make everyone aware that the city manager and the city council does not possess the authority to halt, pause, or overturn an ordinance without first following a process. The city council has expressed interest in stepping up monitoring for illegal and neglectful dumping of animals. Again, we thank everyone who has voiced concerns for the cats' well-being. We look forward to continuing to work together for a long-term solution that will benefit the entire Middletown community. With that, I'd like to invite Chief Nelson to the podium to give an update about the investigation now that we can share more details to what was actually occurring in Smith Park. Thank you.
Council, as you're well aware, we opened up an investigation based off a few complaints or some complaints that we got about injured and dead animals in the park. When we began our investigation, we located a significant amount of deceased animals in the pond. And in our attempt not to raise any alarm to the residents or the people who visit Smith Park, due to the fact that it is our biggest and most utilized park, we wanted to keep this investigation kind of close to our chest in the police department and try to see if it was something that was environmental or if it was something that it was intentionally being done. With that, like the city manager said, we solicited the help of some outside places to help us with the investigation, such as testing the water and testing some of the animals or dead animals that we found in the pond. We just received those results back today that says there's nothing in the pond. So we're still trying to figure out what's going on with or why we had so many dead animals in the pond at the time. Part of our investigation was setting up an additional surveillance in the park, such as additional security cameras on top of what we were already utilizing to help us see if there was someone causing these animals to get sick animals. I can tell you that we found at least 3 different species of animals that were deceased ourselves. I personally went there and observed those animals in the pond and saw that they were there. We're continuing to monitor it. We're combing through right now hours of video footage that we have, but we still don't know what caused this. We're still investigating this and hope to give an answer about the concluding investigation of why the animals we found there so soon, or so many. We wanted to tell everyone about what we were doing, but in our attempts to catch the person who may be responsible for this, we kind of kept this between the select few people who knew about the investigation. And again, we weren't trying to cause any alarm or anything like that. We were just simply trying to figure out why there were so many dead animals in the pond.
Thank you, Chief. Any comments or questions from council at this time for Chief Nelson?
No, I think it's just important that we hope people understand that we try to be as transparent as possible in situations like this. But because we do want to solve the case, solve the problem, sometimes we, as Chief Nelson said, you have to keep information close to your chest. And then it once again, even if they caught the person, we wanted to make sure that the evidence we had held strong in the process of prosecution.
Yeah, like mentioned before, we did not take any enforcement action against anyone we encountered who may have been feeding the cats in Smith Park. We just asked not to introduce anything new into the environment of Smith Park so that we can make a determination whether or not this was something that had to do with the environment of Smith Park where the animals are dying or something something or someone was doing something to the animals. So that's kind of why we chose to enforce the ordinance that was enacted back in 2018. It wasn't something that we were active out there trying to cite people in the court for, but we needed to come to a conclusion fairly quick because it is getting to one of the busiest times that Smith Park is being utilized by city and city events.
All right, thank you very much. Any other questions or comments at this time for the chief? No. Thank you so much, Chief.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to ask our law director, Alex Ewing, to address Goddard's law, because that's been brought up multiple times, and I'd just like him to speak on that.
Yes, thank you, Madam City Manager. There have been references tonight, I think you've heard, regarding Ohio Revised Code Section 959-131. This is commonly known as Goddard's Law, which applies to prohibitions regarding animal cruelty. I think the confusion here stems from the fact that there was a case in 2024 from the Ohio Supreme Court. The Ohio Supreme Court clarified the definition of a companion animal to include all cats. But this Ohio Supreme Court case does not apply to the ordinances of the city of Middletown with respect to providing food to animals in the park. There is a provision, a subsection that that states that an individual who confines, or it prohibits a person who confines or is the custodian or caretaker of a companion animal from depriving the companion animal of necessary sustenance. However, in this case, a feral cat by definition is not confined, and the city is not a custodian or caretaker. Also, our ordinance does not prohibit the feeding of animals; it just prohibits the feeding of the animals in the park or using certain park apparatuses and waste receptacles. So, in short, I just wanted to clarify that the city has the authority under its home rule authority to adopt these ordinances, and we do not see there any violation of the Ohio Revised Code.
Thank you. Does council have any questions or comments? Ms. Lally?
The one question I had, and I think I sent it to you, and I don't know if I've got an answer. If we do go to the situation where we move the cat colony over to the area we're looking at moving it, so then does Goddard's law apply to us that we become the custodian?
That's something I would want to look into a little bit more carefully, and I think it really depends on how what the situation is defined. If we're providing space, I don't think that we are confining the animal or serving as a caretaker, but some of the details we may want to look at before giving further advice on that.
Any other comments or questions for Mr. Ewing at this time? No.
Next, I'd like to invite up Cinda Lee from Paul Paul's Matter to give an update and continue the conversation with council for a long-term solution.
Hey, so what questions do you have for me?
And are there any questions or comments for Ms. Cinda Lee at this time, or did you just want to start with like an update or what kinds of solutions we're looking at short-term and long-term?
Another situation where I wasn't prepared to speak. So I really...
So I got a question. So what have we done in the last few days? Have we been able to trap any of the cats and get them into a situation where we might be able to get them into caring homes and adoptions? And I know that's what you wanted to do primarily, is to rehome. And if so, where are we at and what can we do to help in that process?
Okay, that's perfect that you asked it that way, because what I need the city to do is allow the feeders, the volunteers that have been caring for these cats for years, publicly say that they are the ones feeding the cats. You can say they're with All Paul's Matter. I don't care one way or the other in that respect, but I need for them to be the only ones feeding, and not every Tom, Dick, and Harry in Middletown, because this went public. And people are out there. They're out there throwing food here and there. Trust me. So I need for the city to make a public announcement that the volunteers are the ones that are feeding.
Do we have a list? I remember we asked before how many volunteers. I think you said 5 to 7 volunteers.
Yes, well, I don't know.
Would that be feeding them to trap them?
Yes.
And solely
okay,
that?
I'm sorry?
And solely that? Just because if we're going to trap them, we have to trap them by feeding them, correct?
Right. I'd really rather discuss this in a private.
That's actually
all
one
of
of the.
this.
Fine.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was going to say. One of the suggestions I was going to make.
Yeah, I would much rather do that.
Especially since you didn't know, I guess, tonight, but the possibility of maybe a committee where we have people from the city, from perhaps some volunteers from council, from your organization, from the volunteers, and other people who have written to say that they would want to volunteer as well if there are any discussions. I was going to bring that up during new business as well to see if this might be something that a committee could be formed, because we are looking at, I think, 2 different things. We're looking at this short term right now, but then we're also trying to figure out a long-term solution, like Mr. West alluded to, as far as in the future, as more animals are here, because that is going to happen. I love the option of education as well. In fact, I'm hoping one of the outcomes from the possible committee might be where we have some education given at another city manager's report. So if that works with council, maybe we can create that committee and have these conversations where people can be prepared and kind of form who's on that committee. What are the thoughts? Does that work?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, like you said, it's going to take more conversations to figure this out. And I mean, I've volunteered if, if you want a council liaison there, I'd be more than happy to.
I as well. So, Ms. Combs, I can't see you, but does that work for city staff?
Yes, we can do that.
All right. Do we want to just then end this conversation tonight, or do we have more presentations tonight? Did you want to say anything else? All right, Ms. Lee. Then we will. I think city staff will be.
So just so we're clear, you're going to meet with City Manager Combs' team to take care of things in the immediate thing here in the next days, and then we're going to look at that long range.
Yeah, and kind of like the phases.
Yeah. And once again, just so when we have this meeting in the next couple of days with city staff, that we develop that plan and we stick with that plan, and everybody agrees to that plan, and that's what we do.
Sure. Yeah, I actually had emailed you to request a meeting.
I'm sorry, I didn't even see that.
Oh, please speak into the microphone, Ms. Lee. We can't hear you.
I had emailed Ashley to request a meeting, and I didn't hear anything back.
Okay. So it sounds like that can be a good possibility. Mr. West and I are both willing to be on that as well as liaisons. And like I said, maybe that can be worked out with Ms. Combs, how that's going to work.
Absolutely.
All right.
I'll reach out to you here tonight to get that scheduled.
All right.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lee.
Thank you. Done.
Unless there are any other comments or questions from council.
That's great. Thank you.
I have some comments
Horn?
to our city manager.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Lee.
I appreciate that we're trying to work with folks, and I'm all for that. But I'm also noticing a habit that we're doing in our city, and it's not just this group. It's I'm also on planning commission, and folks. I had a manager one time, and one of his favorite comments was, "I'd rather beg for forgiveness than ask permission." And when we were starting talking about this, my first question is, because I'm in construction and I'm an electrician, and we have to permit everything. We have to ask permission to do things. And my first question to our city manager was, okay, I'd like to see the permit where these groups came and asked permission to set up shelters in our city park. Did they go to the city planner? Did they go to the city manager? Did they go to our building official and pull a permit for these shelters? And then the answer was absolutely no. So then, as they said, well, you didn't know what's going on. You're right. Just like we have issues with people in the city building stuff, and we don't know till it's too late. So I'm glad that through our partnership, that this land that you're going to give them, that we're going to have shelters built with permitting, that we're going to make sure that things are done correctly. But I find it somewhat disrespectful that we're being accused, what was said, we created this when people were building things on our property, which you're the manager of all properties in Middletown. That's it. She's the end. She is the city manager. She manages all property in our city. And she also took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution of the state of Ohio, and also the Charter of the city of Middletown. She is bound by it. She did an oath in front of a judge. So she's doing her job. So I'm glad that we are working with these folks, and we're going to do our best. But we're going to adhere to the charter. And yes, we need to have permits to set up shelters to do this right, so we don't have anyone injured or animals injured. So that's why I'm glad we're doing this, and we're partnering. I'm done, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Horn. Any other comments or questions at this time before we continue? No. Thank you, Ms. Combs.
That's all for me.
All right. Well, thank you. I'm glad that we will be continuing the conversation. So thank you very much, and thank you to everyone who came this evening. Are there any more city manager reports? Okay, we're done for the evening for that. Okay. Our next item on the agenda is the motion agenda. It seems like a few people are leaving. I'll allow them to do that first, and then we will continue. Okay. We have 4 items this evening on the motion agenda. Mrs. Skank, please present item A.
Authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Likens Contracting, LLC for the construction of a new raw water transmission main in the amount of $5,512,770.
Excuse me, thank you. Ms. Combs, the staff report, please.
The city plans to replace an aging raw water transmission main, which is essential for pumping water from the well field to the water treatment plant. These existing pipes are over 50 years old and present a risk of catastrophic failure. The new main will consist of approximately 9,000 linear feet of ductile iron pipe with diameters ranging from 18 to 30 inches. Likens Contracting LLC submitted the lowest bid at $5,512,770. Which is 13% lower than the engineer's estimate. The financial impact will be sourced from an Ohio Public Works Commission grant, Ohio Public Works Commission loan, and Ohio EPA Water Supply Revolving Loan. These funds are allocated from the Water Capital Fund for the loan repayment.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Combs. Is there a motion to approve item A to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Likens Contracting LLC for the amount of $5,512,770?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has, having been properly moved and seconded, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we will proceed. Ms. Skank, please call the roll.
Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Horn? Yes. Mayor Slamka?
Yes.
Mrs. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Lawley?
Yes.
Yeses have it, and the motion passes. Mrs. Skank, please present item B on the motion agenda.
To amend the previously approved purchase price of a 2026 International HV 507 SFA cab truck and chassis from Rush Truck Centers of Cincinnati, Ohio for the Streets Maintenance Division by $3,900 due to a tariff surcharge. The new purchase price will be $110,728.43.
Thank you. Ms. Combs, the staff report, please.
I feel like I'm going to repeat, but on March 18th, 2025, council approved the purchase of a truck. On March 28th, a tariff surcharge was announced. Our truck has not been built before will not be built before May 2nd, which is the exemption date resulting in this surcharge. The city council may choose not to approve the request. However, the original purchase amount has already been authorized. Sufficient funds are available in the garage fund for the additional amount.
Thank you, Ms. Combs. Is there a motion to approve item B to amend the previous price of the cab, truck, and chassis by $3,900 with a new total cost of $110,728.43?
Motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Having been properly moved and seconded, is there any discussion?
Yes.
It's Mr. Lally.
Okay, so I guess I'm struggling with this a little bit. Was there a contingency in this that allowed them to raise the price on this? Because it seems to me we had a contract with them for $110,000 or $105,000 or $106,000. So how do they, unless there was contingency built in that gives them the right to raise this $3,900? I'm not so sure that's legit.
Mr. Scott Tadich, our Public Works Director, is coming to the podium.
So forgive me, this was handled through the purchasing agent, so I'm not totally sure about if there was a contingency or not. Probably have to get back with you on that, but it is sort of an issue we're seeing in the world these days with the tariffs, but.
Yeah, but I understand that, and then what we have to navigate through is how we decide what's legit and what's not. I mean, anybody can come up and say, oh, the tariff thing, we're going to have to charge you $5,000 more, you know, and that's what I'm struggling with. I get it's $3,900 and $110,000, but where do we draw the line? And if there wasn't a contingency in there that they could do this, I don't know. That's why I'm struggling with this.
I understand. I probably need to get legal to.
How seriously do we need that truck right now?
I mean, it's going to take like probably 6 months to get it. So, you know, if we need to pause, I mean, not that I want to delay things, but if we need to pause till the next meeting.
And if we do pause to the next meeting, could you come back and say, well, now it's 6?
Well, that's the other part. I'm afraid
you know,
they might say at the next meeting that quote from a month ago is no longer good.
I don't want to cut my nose to spite my face. I'm just, that's what I struggle.
I mean, I don't know. Well, you know, if we approve it tonight, can we check? And obviously, the city manager still has to sign off on purchasing that piece of equipment, even once you all do. So
That's my question, actually, from Mr. Ewing, perhaps. Just like Mr. Tadich just said, if we do approve it tonight, can we pause and check on the contingency that Mr. Lawley was saying?
Yes, I think you can give the city manager or designee authority within that, you know, expanded dollar amount, and then, you know, ultimately, if there's a way to even, you know, split the difference or something, we can look into that.
That's a great.
and we can follow up, obviously, with council.
I'm comfortable with that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tadich. All right. Hearing no other comments or questions, we will continue. Mrs. Skank, please call the roll.
Mr. Horn.
Yes.
Mayor Slanka.
Yes.
Mr. Lawley.
Yes.
Mrs. Carter.
Yes.
Mr. West.
Yes.
Yeses have it, and the motion passes. Mrs. Skank, please present item C on the motion agenda.
To authorize a contract with Pintura LLC in the amount of $537,001 to install a new splash pad at Douglas Park.
Thank you. Ms. Combs, the staff report, please.
The current splash pad at Douglas Park is beyond its useful life, and most spray toys inoperable due to broken water supply lines. In 2024, City Council directed staff to replace it. Staff secured pricing through State of Ohio's purchasing contract for parks and recreation equipment, and Pintura LLC is the approved vendor. The new splash pad will be located south of the existing one next to the playground. The old splash pad will be removed and replaced with a picnic area matching the existing ones, and a walkway will connect the new facilities. The current splash pad will remain operable during the construction. The project is expected to be completed by August.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve item C to authorize a contract with Pintura LLC in the amount of $537,001 to install a new splash pad at Douglas Park?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Having been properly moved and seconded, is there any discussion? I just wanted to confirm that I had asked about how last time we talked about this, and the reason we needed the splash pad is because of the changing in the weather and how the pipes were cracking because of that. And I've been told that that was absolutely part of the reason why we're getting this, and that has been discussed with the engineering. So these should last a while, even with our northern climate. So thank you. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, we will proceed to vote. Mrs. Skank, please call the roll.
Mayor Slanka.
Yes.
Mr. Lawley.
Yes.
Mrs. Carter.
Yes.
Mr. West.
Yes.
Mr. Horn.
Yes.
Yeses have it, and the motion passes. Mrs. Skank, please present item D on the motion agenda.
To authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with insulated roofing contractors for an FAA grant-funded project estimated at $225,000 $225,000. Like I'm not saying that right. $225,000.
That's correct.
That's correct.
$1,000.
You did it.
You're gonna throw me off. With a 5% contingency for the purpose of completing the Middletown Regional Airport Jets hangar roof replacement in 2025.
Thank you, Mrs. Skank. All right, Ms. Combs, the staff report, please.
The Middletown Regional Airport has AIG funds from the FAA set to expire this year. City staff recommends using these funds for the hangar roof replacement. 2 bids were received in accordance with the city and FAA regulations, with insulated roofing contractors providing the lowest bid at $225,000. A 5% contingency of $11,250 is recommended for minor change orders, which are the city's responsibility under the federal rules. The project aims to restore the roof to a suitable condition for aircraft housing. Once the FAA grants final funding approval, the city manager can enter into a construction agreement. The project is expected to start within 60 to 90 days and be completed by the year end. The project is 95% federally funded, with the city of Middletown covering 5% of the base bid costs. The total grant request is $249,000, $225,000 for construction, and $24,000 for engineering. The city's estimated cost is $12,450 within the airport capital budget. Funding is available in the Airport Fund 492.
Thank you, Ms. Combs. Is there a motion to approve item D, to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with insulated roofing contractors for $225,000 with a 5% contingency for the purpose of completing the Middletown Regional Airport Jets hangar roof replacement?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Having been properly moved and seconded, is there any discussion? I had one question. I was just curious. When this is passed, why is there that 2 to 3 month delay before starting?
Alicia, can you answer that question for me?
When this is passed, just curious why there is that 2 to 3 month pause before starting the project. Why don't we start immediately?
There's actually some delay with the ADO's office in Detroit with the FAA. They have to process some paperwork. Then obviously the contractor has to order some materials and supplies and schedule it. So there's a little bit of back end work still.
Okay, so that's current. Okay, thank you very much. Is there any other conversation questions?
Yeah, I'm on Airport Commission, and this is one more step for us to get updated for our airport, which we're trying to develop into more of a revenue generator. So again, I'm sure the roof is still from Armco Blue, which is fine, but it needs to be redone and reused so our tenants can use it and also future tenants can utilize this hangar.
Fantastic. Any other further questions or comments? Hearing none, we will proceed to vote. Mrs. Skank, please call the roll.
Mr. Lawley.
Yes.
Mrs. Carter.
Yes.
Mr. West.
Yes.
Mr. Horn.
Yes.
Mayor Slamka.
Yes. The yeses have it, and the motion passes. This concludes the motion agenda. The next agenda item is legislation. We have 12 items of legislation this evening. Law Director Mr. Alex Ewing, the legislation, please.
Item number 1, resolution number R 2025-10, a resolution to make adjustments to appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Middletown, counties of Butler and Warren, State of Ohio, for the period ending December 31st, 2025, and declaring an emergency. General Police Radios.
Thank you. Ms. Combs, do you have anything to add?
Only that there was an update from the last city council meeting that there were originally 10 requested and now there are 11, one being additional for the city manager. And then this is an emergency second reading due to the 6-month lead time for the order and delivery of those radios.
Excellent, thank you. Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we will proceed to vote. Mrs. Skank, please call the roll.
Mrs. Carter.
Yes.
Mr. West.
Yes.
Mr. Horn.
Yes.
Mayor Slamka.
Yes.
Mr. Lawley.
Yes.
Yeses have it, and the legislation passes. Mr. Ewing, the next legislative item, please.
Item number 2, resolution number R 2025-11, a resolution to make adjustments to appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Middletown, counties of Butler and Warren, State of Ohio, for the period ending December 31st, 2025. Police Grant Fund, second reading.
Thank you. Ms. Combs, do you have anything to add?
Just that this request was approval to deappropriate $18,429.81. This deappropriation was necessary to receive due to overtime reimbursements.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we will proceed to vote. Mrs. Skank, please call the roll.
Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Horn?
Yes.
Mayor Slanka?
Yes.
Mrs. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Lawley?
Yes.
The yeses have it, and the legislation passes. Mr. Ewing, the next item, please.
Item number 3, ordinance number O-2025-16, an ordinance providing for the issuance and sale of notes in the maximum principal amount of $5,500,000 in anticipation of the issuance of bonds for the purpose of paying the costs of designing, engineering, constructing, acquiring, renovating, and improving various municipal infrastructure permanent improvements for the Renaissance Arena District project, including water mains, sanitary sewers, and storm sewers, public roads and streets, and related curbs and gutters, grading, landscaping, and otherwise improving the sites thereof, and equipment and appurtenances as may be necessary in connection therewith. Second reading.
Thank you, Mr. Ewing. Ms. Combs, do you have anything to add?
I do not.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we will proceed to vote. Mrs. Skank, please call the roll.
Mr. Horn?
Yes.
Mayor Slanka?
Yes.
Mr. Lawley?
Yes.
Mrs. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. West?
Yes.
The yeses have it, and the legislation passes. Mr. Ewing, the next item, please.
Item number 4, ordinance number O-2025-17, an ordinance establishing a procedure for and authorizing an amendment of the contract with TriHealth Corporate Health, now known as Bethesda Healthcare, Inc., for jail health care services and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Mr. Ewing. Ms. Combs, the staff report, please.
This is to recommend an amendment to the contract with Bethesda, try to get that out, Healthcare, Inc. in Cincinnati, Ohio for jail health care services not to exceed $197,000 for 2025. Additionally, to request approval for $73,871.48 to settle the remaining 2024 balance due to unforeseen medical cost. This was awarded for the jail health care services contract in 2023, providing cost-effective medical care, including nursing and secretarial support. The contract ensures compliance with OSHA standards, offers daily medical personnel at the jail, and maintains malpractice insurance. The contract is effective from June 1st, 2023 to May 31st, 2025, with renewal through December 31st, 2025. Due to unexpected medical expenses, the remaining amount I've already mentioned is that $73,872.48. They've kept the rates the same for 2023 and 2024 and requested an increase in 2025. This is a first reading emergency requested to pay those additional funds for 2024 and settle outstanding bills.
Thank you very much, Ms. Combs. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we will proceed to vote. Mrs. Skank, please call the roll.
Mayor Slanka?
Yes.
Mr. Lawley?
Yes.
Mrs. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Horn?
Yes.
Yeses have it, and the motion passes. Mr. Ewing, the next item, please.
Item number 5, ordinance number O-2025-18, an ordinance setting forth municipal services that will be provided to the 68 plus minus acres of territory located in Lemon Township, Butler County, Ohio, and proposed to be annexed to the city of Middletown via an expedited Type 2 annexation pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 709.021 and 709.023 and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Ms. Combs, the staff report, please.
The city of Middletown has filed a Type 2 expedited annexation petition for approximately 68 acres of land unincorporated in Lemon Township. This area along the city's western boundary by the Great Miami River is being annexed to incorporate the city's sewer treatment plant and support future redevelopment. According to Chapter 709 of the Ohio Revised Code, the city must pass legislation, consent, a service ordinance, and a zoning buffer ordinance within 20 days to enable the county commissioners to process the annexation. Middletown owns property outside its corporate boundaries, following the city manager's authority under 220.03 of the codified ordinances. The annexation petition was filed to include these properties within the city's limits. Ohio law requires specific legislation for the county commissioners to process the petition. The first legislation item is a service ordinance detailing the municipal services that the city will provide to the annexed area. The second ordinance addresses zoning buffers, affirming the city's commitment to enforce zoning regulations for setbacks and screening adjacent to unincorporated properties. The third legislation item states the city's consent to the annexation recommended as a separate ordinance for the city council's approval. The city council could choose not to pass any legislative items halting the processing of the annexation petition. The items are proposed for emergency passage to meet that 20-day statutory deadline for processing the annexation petition.
Thank you, Ms. Combs. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Oh, I'm sorry. Normally right now there's no public comment at this time, but I did want to just honor what Mr. Garver had said earlier during the citizen comments. Do we have a map on?
I did pass out a map to you prior to the meeting, so that is in front of you.
Do we have it for the screen?
We do not.
Could we describe a little bit what this land is and what it's going to be used for as far as the redevelopment, please? Just so that people can have an idea of what we're talking about.
Yeah, as council may recall, it's been about a year now, the city commenced on the first of two planned annexations. One started around the police division's shooting range up north of the quarry, and came down, including Conservancy District lands and the like, and landed just a parcel south of the bridge that goes from Lemon Township into Trenton. This second phase, the only reason why we're doing this in two phases is that the annexation statute in Ohio requires at least 5% contiguity between the territory being annexed to the existing corporate boundaries. So, since we're traveling quite a distance, we had to do this in two phases. So the first annexation had to be finalized and recorded. Now here we are tonight. This is the second phase, and the land that's being annexed is owned solely by governmental entities, whether that be the city of Middletown, the Miami Conservancy District, or the state of Ohio. This is all bottom land except for where our sewer plant is. This is mostly bottom land along the river in the floodplain. There's, not really any developable potential, right now. And then this would then bring the sewer plant and a couple adjacent parcels owned by the Conservancy District within our corporate boundaries, and then would set the stage for future redevelopment opportunities as they may manifest themselves in the future.
Could you comment on that a little bit, like what those possibilities, would it be just expansion of what's already there?
Yeah, I mean, I think in fairness, the city being a municipal corporation, we have certain tools and powers that perhaps a statutory township like Lemon Township may not have that may help facilitate redevelopment. If those property owners, would choose to exercise those options or not, there's no requirement, obviously.
And it looks like the land that's being annexed is just really around the building. It's like around the perimeter of the land itself, like you said, in the floodplain as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions or comments at this time?
Yeah.
Mr. Horn.
So, Nathan, this is just to help the growth of our wastewater treatment plant kind of feel?
Yeah, I think by bringing it within our corporate boundaries, it makes clear that in the future, if there's any planned expansion or any other changes, it clearly falls under our zoning and land use regulations, not that of the county.
Right. And City of Middletown sells water and services to Lemon Township.
That's correct.
Yeah. So this also will benefit them because our city's getting bigger. So I just want to make that clear because I have a client that I had a situation where I was not aware that where Lemon Township and City of Middletown was, so I had to get a permit from Butler County. So this also will benefit because we'll be able to grow the wastewater treatment plant on this land. It's not going to be used for anything but that. It's just flat land pretty much. It's not going to be used to build a subdivision for Levin Township or anything like that. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions or comments? Hearing none, we will proceed. Mrs. Gank, please call the roll.
Mr. Lawley,
Yes.
Mrs. Carter,
Yes.
Mr. West,
Yes.
Mr. Horn,
Yes.
Mayor Slanka.
Yes. The yeses have it, and the motion passes. Mr. Ewing, the next item, please.
Item number 6, ordinance number O-2025-19. An ordinance setting forth the zoning buffer requirements the city of Middletown will enforce following the annexation of 68 plus or minus acres of territory located in Lemon Township, Butler County, Ohio, to the city of Middletown via an expedited Type 2 annexation pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 709.021 and 709.023, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Mr. Ewing. Ms. Combs, do you have anything to add?
Nothing further to add.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we will continue. Mrs. Gank, please call the roll.
Mrs. Carter,
Yes.
Mr. West,
Yes.
Mr. Horn,
Yes.
Mayor Slanka,
Yes.
Mr. Lawley.
Yes.
The yeses have it, and the legislation passes. Mr. Ewing, the next item, please.
Item number 7, ordinance number O-2025-20, an ordinance consenting to the annexation of 68 plus or minus acres of territory located in Lemon Township, Butler County, Ohio, to the city of Middletown via an expedited Type 2 annexation pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 709.021 and 709.023, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Mr. Ewing. Ms. Combs, do you have anything to add?
Nothing to add.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? I'd one request. Would you be able to speak a little bit to the services that would be provided with this? Mr. Cahill, thank you.
Yeah, as council knows, the Chapter 709 and the annexation procedures require the city to designate ahead of time what services will be provided to the annexed territory. What's in front of you is just the boilerplate services description that the city will provide any and all services that it provides elsewhere in the city in conjunction with its rules and regulations.
Is there a way to be a little bit more specific? Because of the nature of the land itself, it doesn't seem like there's much that's going to be happening.
Yes, I mean, really, you're not going to see any other change other than technically if there's a police or law enforcement issue there, our police division would have, jurisdiction. Same way with, fire and EMS, zoning controller or whatnot. But obviously, other than our sewage treatment plant, there's nothing really else going on or can be built on anything. So it'll be very minimal.
Correct. Thank you for clarifying that. Are there any other comments or questions?
Just and so you know too, it really doesn't put any more service on police and fire because the police and fire always respond to city-owned property, even if it was outside the city. So we already responded to emergencies in the water reclamation facility.
Thank you.
It's property.
Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions at this time? Hearing none, we will proceed to vote. Mrs. Gank, please call the roll.
Mr. West,
Yes.
Mr. Horn,
Yes.
Mayor Slanka,
Yes.
Mrs. Carter,
Yes.
Mr. Lawley.
Yes.
The yeses have it, and legislation passes. Mr. Ewing, the next item, please.
Item number 8, ordinance number 2025-21, an ordinance denying a request to change the zoning classification for one parcel at 3445 Union Road from BC-H Business Center Hub District to PD Planned Development District, and not approving a preliminary development plan for construction of a Wawa. First reading.
Thank you, Mr. Ewing. Ms. Combs, the staff report, please.
I have nothing to add from the public hearing.
Thank you. As this is a first reading, there is no action to be taken at this time. However, is there any discussion from council? Seeing none, we will proceed. Mr. Ewing, the next item, please.
Item number 9, ordinance number O-2025-22, an ordinance amending section 1226.01B2, Planning Commission membership of the Middletown Development Code, which is included in the Middletown Codified Ordinances. First reading.
Thank you. Ms. Combs, do you have anything to add?
The only thing I want to add is just specifying this is the school board representative on the planning commission, and then nothing further to add from that public hearing.
Thank you, Ms. Combs. As this is a first reading, there is no action to be taken at this time. However, is there any discussion from council? Seeing none, we will proceed. Mr. Ewing, the next legislative item, please.
Item number 10, ordinance number O 2025-23, an ordinance establishing a procedure for and authorizing the purchase of turnout gear lockers for new fire station 81 and 85 from Gear Grid. First reading.
Thank you, Mr. Ewing. Ms. Combs, the staff report, please.
This is to request funds from a fire station levy fund to purchase Gear Grid lockers for PGPE storage at the new stations 81 and 85. Firefighters are assigned 2 sets of turnout gear, which requires storage in low UV exposure and well-ventilated areas. Gear Grid lockers have a 3x3 grid pattern for breathability, allowing gear to dry quickly and reduce bacteria growth. The lockers at stations 82 and 83 have performed well. Each locker setup cost $7,249.07, totaling $14,498.14 with shipping. Pepper Construction will handle the installation, and the cost was included in the fire station construction budget.
Thank you very much, Ms. Combs. As this is a first reading, there is no action to be taken at this time. However, is there any discussion from council? Hearing none, we will proceed. Mr. Ewing, the next item, please.
Item number 11, ordinance number O 2025-24, an ordinance establishing a procedure for and authorizing a contract with Yoakum Fireworks LLC. First reading.
Thank you. Ms. Combs, the staff report, please.
This is to request approval for a contract with Yoakum Fireworks Company for the July 3rd fireworks display. The annual fireworks event is set to take place on July 3rd at Smith Park. This year, the city has selected Yoakum Fireworks as the vendor to provide the fireworks at a cost not to exceed $55,000.
All right, thank you, Ms. Combs. As this is a first reading, there is no action to be taken at this time. However, is there any discussion from council? Hearing none, we will proceed. Mr. Ewing, the last legislative item, please.
Item number 12, ordinance number O 2025-25, an ordinance establishing a procedure for and authorizing the purchase of 2 Verkada access control systems for new fire stations 81 and 85 from Waltz Business Solutions and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Ms. Combs, the staff report, please.
The request is to appropriate $93,095.54 for purchasing 2 access control systems from Waltz Business Solutions for the new Fire Station 81 and 85. The same system is installed in Fire Headquarters and Fire Station 83. The funds will be sourced from unappropriate fire station levy funds. Waltz Business Solutions has provided a quote valid until the end of April and requires a purchase order before any equipment can be ordered. The necessary funds are not currently in the budget. The purchase includes a 10-year software licensing fee. A supplemental appropriation is needed since the existing soft cost funds are already committed elsewhere. Delaying the order until May may lead to a substantial price increase due to the tariffs. A first reading emergency passage is requested because of potential for a significant price increase, like I said, due to the tariffs on the equipment and materials that need to be ordered. Waltz Business Solutions has a policy requiring a purchase order before any equipment and materials can be ordered.
Thank you, Ms. Combs. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we will proceed to vote. Mrs. Skank, please call the roll.
Mr. Horn.
Yes.
Mayor Slamka.
Yes.
Mr. Lawley.
Yes.
Mrs. Carter.
Yes.
Mr. West.
Yes.
Yeses have it, and the legislation passes. This concludes the legislation for the evening. Next item on the agenda is unfinished business. Do any council members have anything they would like to bring up under unfinished business? Hearing none, we will proceed. The next item on the agenda is new business. Do any council members have any new business this evening?
Yes, I do.
Mr. Horn?
Law Director Ewing, I'll be sending you a text amendment. It'll be item number 9 under Historical Commission. We're going to try to add a city council member to that board. For some reason, there's no one on that board. And it's not just because we want to add someone to the board. Members on that board have requested that a city councilman be present on that board. So I'll send that text amendment to you, and you can start the process with that. And then I'll have to go through Planning Commission. So also let Claire know that will be coming. I don't think that's going to get any resistance, and then I'll add to that. And not procedural, but what I would suggest, and if this goes through this year, I will volunteer to be on that, to be that liaison. But after that, I would suggest, because I actually listened to the historical, they're very similar to planning commission, so I would just suggest whoever the council member that sits on planning commission, they also sit on historical. Because it just makes it where you have one report from one person back to council. That's what we're supposed to do as liaisons. That has nothing to do with what I'm going to send you. I just want to kind of put that out there.
Thank you, Mr. Horn. Any other new business from council? All right, hearing none. That concludes new business. This concludes our regular city council meeting for Middletown, Ohio for Tuesday, April 15th, 2025 at 8:49 p.m. This meeting is adjourned until Tuesday, May 6th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. in these chambers for our next regular city council meeting. Please remember to go out and vote on May 6th as well. Thank you and good night.